Temes Wilson calls the millionaire businessman to the school. When he arrives, he is in shock. Michael Anderson never imagined that a phone call from his son's school could shake his life so much. The 42-year-old businessman was used to solving million-dollar problems, but nothing prepared him for what he was about to discover on that Thursday afternoon in New York City. The firm voice of Ms. Margaret Wilson still echoed in his ears as he parked his Lexus in the courtyard of St. James Academy. She had been clear. His son Ryan was involved in a serious bullying situation, and his presence was urgent. Michael took a deep breath, adjusted his expensive tie, and walked toward the school entrance, prepared for another conversation about the 11-year-old boy's behavior. The main hallway was bustling with the typical end-of-school movement. Children ran back and forth, teachers organized materials, and parents chatted in small groups. Michael followed the signs to the principal's office, where a secretary directed him to a smaller room at the back of the building. As he opened the door, he encountered a scene that made him stop in the doorway. His son, Ryan, impeccably dressed in the private school uniform, was standing next to the teacher's desk. On the other side of the room, hunched in a chair, was a boy who appeared to be the same age, but with simple, visibly worn-out clothes. The boy kept his head down, his unkempt hair partially covering his face. "Mr. Anderson, thank you for coming so quickly," said Ms. Wilson, a woman of about 50, with graying hair pulled into a bun and reading glasses hanging from her neck. Her expression was serious but not hostile. "Miss Wilson, I apologize if my son caused any trouble. Can you please explain exactly what happened?" Michael spoke with the confidence of someone used to controlling situations. The teacher gestured for him to sit in one of the available chairs. Ryan remained where he was, fidgeting, avoiding his father's gaze. The poor boy stayed silent as if he wanted to disappear from there. "Mr. Anderson, what I'm about to tell you might be difficult to hear, but I need you to understand the seriousness of the situation," Margaret began, taking a folder of documents from the drawer. "Today, during recess, I witnessed your son Ryan cruelly humiliating Jacob here. It wasn't the first time." Michael looked at Ryan, who finally looked up, defiant. "Dad, I didn't do anything wrong. I just told him a few truths." "Truths?" The teacher's voice hardened. "Ryan told the whole class that Jacob shouldn't be studying here because people like him were born to be servants of people like you. He took the boy's lunch and threw it in the trash, saying that poor people don't deserve good food." The silence that followed was heavy. Michael felt a strange discomfort in his chest, but tried to maintain his composure. "Ryan, is that true?" he asked, his voice slightly lower. "More or less," the boy shrugged. "My mother always says that everyone should know their place in the world." Ms. Wilson sighed deeply and addressed the poor boy, who still hadn't fully raised his head. "Jacob, can you tell Ryan's father what else happened today?" The boy hesitated for a few seconds before speaking, his voice soft and trembling. He said I smelled like poverty, and that my grandmother should be ashamed of sending me to a school for rich kids. He said I'll never be anything in life because I don't have a father." When Jacob finally raised his head to face Michael, the businessman felt the world stop. It was like looking into a mirror of the past, the same dark eyes, the same face shape, even the small scar on the left eyebrow, exactly like the one he had at the same age. The resemblance was disturbing, almost impossible to be just a coincidence. "My God," murmured Michael, unable to hide his shock. "Is something wrong, Mr. Anderson?" asked Margaret, noticing the sudden change in the businessman's expression. "No, sorry, it's just that the boy reminds me of someone." Michael shook his head, trying to compose himself. "Jacob, you said you don't have a father." The boy nodded timidly. "My mother left when I was a baby. I only have my grandmother, Mary. She works very hard to support me." "And your last name?" The question came out before Michael could think better of it. "Jacob Miller, sir." Miller. A common last name that revealed nothing, but that resemblance continued to bother him deeply. Ms. Wilson interrupted his thoughts. "Mr. Anderson, you need to understand that I cannot allow this kind of behavior to continue. Ryan has been systematically humiliating Jacob for weeks. Just yesterday, he convinced other children not to play with the boy during recess." "Ryan, is this true?" Michael turned to his son, who now seemed less confident. "I didn't force anyone to do anything. I just said that those who hang out with poor people become poor too. Ryan! Michael's voice came out louder than he intended. Where did you get these ideas? From Mommy. She always says we shouldn't mix with just anyone, that our family is different and special. Michael closed his eyes for a moment. Catherine, his wife, came from a traditional New York City family and always made a point of keeping her distance from those she considered inferior. He knew she influenced Ryan in this way, but he hadn't imagined it would go this far. Ms. Wilson, I assure you I will have a serious talk with my son. This will not happen again. Mr. Anderson, with all due respect, talks are no longer enough. Ryan needs to understand the consequences of his actions. I am considering a 3-day suspension. A suspension? Michael rose from his chair. Ms. Wilson, don't you think that's an overreaction? They're children, sometimes they... Mr. Anderson, Margaret interrupted him firmly. Let me be clear. If it were just a fight between children, it would be different. But Ryan is engaging in systematic bullying. Jacob has been coming home crying every day. The boy's grandmother has already been here twice, worried because he doesn't want to come to school anymore. Michael looked again at Jacob, who had lowered his head again. Something stirred inside him, a strange feeling of protectiveness that he couldn't explain. And how do you plan to resolve this situation? He asked, trying to remain calm. First, Ryan needs to give a public apology to Jacob in front of the class. Second, he will be grounded during recess for a week, helping out in the library. Third, I want him to write an essay about respect and social differences. I'm not apologizing to him. Ryan crossed his arms. I didn't do anything wrong. Ryan! Michael turned to his son, genuinely shocked by the boy's stubbornness. You will do exactly what Ms. Wilson says. I won't, and Mommy will agree with me. Ms. Wilson sighed again and addressed Michael. Mr. Anderson, I'll be direct with you. If Ryan does not demonstrate a genuine change in behavior by the end of the week, I will be forced to convene the school board. In extreme cases, the school can decide on the student's compulsory transfer. Transfer? Michael felt a tightness in his chest. St. James Academy was one of the best private schools in New York City. Losing his spot there would be a major problem. It's an extreme measure, but it has happened before. We cannot allow a student to make the school environment toxic for others. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. Michael took a deep breath and approached Jacob, crouching down to be at the boy's eye level. Jacob, I'm sorry for my son's behavior. This won't happen again, I promise. The boy looked up, surprised. It was rare for someone to speak to him kindly in that environment. It's okay, sir. I'm used to it, he whispered. No, it's not okay. No one should get used to that. Michael felt a growing anger, not just toward Ryan, but at himself for not realizing what was happening sooner. Tell me something, do you like studying here? I like it a lot. The teachers are nice, and I learn a lot. It's just that... Jacob hesitated. Just that what? Sometimes I think about asking my grandma to take me out of here. She works so hard to pay my tuition, and if I can't even make friends, maybe it's not worth it. Michael felt as if he'd been punched in the stomach. That boy, who reminded him so much of himself as a child, was considering giving up his studies because of his own son's cruelty. Jacob, you are not going to quit. I will personally make sure you feel welcome here. And Ryan will apologize properly, isn't that right, Ryan? The blonde boy remained silent, but his expression showed he wasn't willing to give in easily. Ms. Wilson looked at the clock on the wall. Mr. Anderson, I need to wrap up our conversation here. I have another meeting in 15 minutes, but I'd like to propose something. What do you have in mind? What if Ryan spent a few days helping Jacob with his studies? They could do their homework together, under supervision. Sometimes, when children spend time together in positive situations, they can understand each other better. I don't want to spend time with him, Ryan protested immediately. It wasn't a question, Ryan, Michael said firmly. You will do what the teacher suggested. Then it settled. Ms. Wilson smiled for the first time since the conversation began. Starting tomorrow after school, Ryan and Jacob will do their homework together in the library for 1 hour. I will supervise personally. Michael nodded and turned to Jacob. And you, Jacob, Will you give Ryan a chance to show he can be a better classmate? The boy looked at Ryan, then at Michael, and finally nodded slowly. I will, sir. Great. Then it's decided. Ms. Wilson stood up, indicating the meeting was over. Mr. Anderson, I hope I can count on your support at home to reinforce the lessons Ryan needs to learn. You can count on it, Ms. Wilson. And... Michael hesitated for a moment. If there are any problems with Jacob's tuition, any difficulty at all, please come to me directly. Dad! Ryan looked at him shocked. You can't be serious. I am very serious, Ryan, and when we get home, you and I are going to have a very important talk about family values. Ms. Wilson walked the three of them to the classroom door. In the hallway, Jacob said a timid goodbye and walked toward the school exit. Michael watched the boy walk away carrying an old, patched-up backpack and felt that strange sense of connection once again. In the car, the silence was tense. Ryan was clearly upset in the back seat, arms crossed and staring out the window. Michael drove on autopilot, his mind racing with questions he couldn't answer. Why did Jacob look so much like him? Why did he feel this inexplicable need to protect the boy? Dad, you can't be serious about me having to study with that boy. Ryan finally broke the silence. Ryan, why are you so prejudiced against Jacob? He didn't do anything to you. He shouldn't be at our school. It's obvious his family doesn't have money to pay. He's probably there because of some charity scholarship. And if he is, does that make him less intelligent, less deserving of a good education? Dad, you're talking as if we were equal to them. We are different. We have money, status, family breeding. They don't. Michael stopped at the red light and turned to face his son. Ryan, where do you think our family came from? Do you think we were always rich? I don't know. We always were, weren't we? No, Ryan, not always. My father, your grandfather Paul, started out selling sandwiches outside a factory when he was 15. Your grandmother Mary took in laundry to supplement their income. I grew up in a humble neighborhood, went to public school, and only managed to get where I am because I had opportunities and worked very hard. Ryan was silent for a few seconds, processing the information. But that was a long time ago, Dad. Now we're different. We are different in our financial situation, Ryan, but we are not better as people, and we should never ever humiliate someone because of their social standing. The light turned green and Michael started driving again, but his mind was still troubled. They arrived home, a mansion in the upscale Upper East Side neighborhood, and were greeted by Catherine, who was waiting for them in the entrance hall. At 40, she maintained the natural elegance of someone born with a silver spoon, always impeccably dressed and made up. How was the meeting at school? She asked, kissing Michael on the cheek. We need to talk, Catherine, about Ryan and about the values we're teaching him. What happened? She looked at her son, who ran to hug her. Mum, Dad took the side of a poor boy against me. He said I have to apologize to him. What? Catherine turned to Michael, visibly irritated. Michael, what is this about? Ryan has been bullying a classmate at school. Cruel humiliations, Catherine. The teacher is considering suspending him. Bullying? She laughed scornfully. Michael, kids always tease each other. That's not bullying. It is bullying, Catherine. Ryan told the boy he smells like poverty, threw his lunch in the trash, said that people like the boy's family were born to serve people like us. Well, he's not wrong about the social hierarchy, Catherine shrugged. Catherine! Michael looked at her, shocked. You can't be serious. I am. Michael, we can't pretend everyone is equal. They're not. Ryan is just learning to recognize his position in the world. His position in the world? Michael's voice was getting louder. Catherine, we are raising an arrogant, prejudiced boy. We are raising a boy who knows his worth and isn't swayed by just anyone. Ryan watched his parents' argument with satisfaction. Clearly, he knew he had his mother's support. Mom, you need to convince Dad. He wants me to be friends with that poor boy. He even offered to pay for his things at school. You did what? Catherine turned to Michael, her eyes flashing with anger. I offered help if the boy's family needs it. And yes, Ryan is going to learn to treat all his classmates with respect. Michael, we need to talk in private now. Catherine walked towards the study, expecting Michael to follow her. Ryan stayed in the living room, clearly pleased to have caused a conflict between his parents. In the study, Catherine slammed the door shut. "Michael, what's gotten into you? Since when do we get involved with poor families? Since when did it become a crime to help a child in need? It's not a crime, but it's not our responsibility either. We have our own family to look after. Our family is raising a boy who humiliates others for pleasure, Catherine. Doesn't that bother you? What bothers me is you trying to turn our son into a socialist. Ryan needs to learn that there are differences between social classes. That's how the world works. The world works that way because people like us allow it to work that way." Michael walked closer to the window, looking out at the well-kept garden of the property. "Catherine, I don't recognize our son anymore. Today he said horrible things to an innocent child, a child who shouldn't be in the same school as our son. Why? Because his parents don't have money. Exactly. Michael, everyone should know their place. It's better for everyone." "Better for whom, Catherine? For us who sleep soundly knowing there are people in need. For Ryan, who is growing up thinking he's worth more than others simply because he was born with privileges." "Michael, you're being dramatic. Ryan just doesn't want to associate with just anyone. That's a sign of good judgment. That's a sign of prejudice and arrogance." The argument continued for another 20 minutes, without them reaching a consensus. Catherine was unyielding in her position, and Michael felt he was seeing his wife in a new light. Had she always been like this and he hadn't noticed, or was she getting worse with the years? That night, during dinner, the tension was palpable. Ryan ate in silence, sensing there were problems between his parents. Michael barely touched his food, lost in thoughts about Jacob and the strange feeling of familiarity the boy had stirred in him. "Dad," Ryan finally spoke, "do I really have to study with that boy?" "Yes, Ryan, and you will do it willingly." "But why? I don't understand why you're doing this to me." Michael stopped pushing his food around and looked at his son. "Ryan, have you ever stopped to think how you would feel if you were humiliated in front of all your classmates? If someone threw your lunch in the trash and said you weren't good enough?" "That would never happen to me." "Why?" "Because I'm different from him." "How are you different from him?" "Daddy, it's obvious. I have a family, money, and education. Ryan, Jacob also has a family. The grandmother who raises him and works hard to support him. He also has an education. In fact, according to Ms. Wilson, he's one of the best students in the class. The only difference is that he doesn't have money, and that doesn't make him a worse person than you." Ryan was thoughtful for a moment. "But Mommy always said..." "Forget what your mother said for a minute and think for yourself. If you were Jacob, how would you like to be treated?" "I would never be Jacob." "But if you were..." Ryan hesitated before answering. I would like others to be nice to me, I guess." "Then why aren't you nice to him?" Because what, Ryan?" "I don't know." It was the first time Ryan had shown doubt about his actions. Michael saw an opportunity to plant a seed of reflection in his son's mind. "Ryan, tomorrow, when you're studying with Jacob, how about trying to get to know him better? Find out what he likes, what his dreams are." "Okay," Ryan murmured, not very convinced. "And Ryan, yes, Dad, I expect you to give him a sincere apology, not because the teacher said so, but because it's the right thing to do." That night, Michael had trouble sleeping. The image of Jacob wouldn't leave his head. The physical resemblance was disturbing, but there was something more, a feeling that this meeting hadn't been a coincidence. He got out of bed, careful not to wake Catherine, and went to the study. He opened the computer and, almost without thinking, started typing Jacob Miller, New York City into the search engine. Hundreds of results appeared, none specific enough to help. He tried Mary Miller, New York City, hoping to find something about the boy's grandmother. Again, many results, but nothing that seemed relevant. He was about to give up when he remembered something. The day before, during the meeting at school, Jacob had mentioned that his mother had left when he was a baby. Michael tried to calculate. If the boy was 11, that meant his mother had disappeared around 2013. Why did this information intrigue him so much? There was something familiar about the story, but he couldn't pinpoint what. He closed the computer, frustrated, and went back to bed, but sleep remained elusive. The next morning during breakfast, Catherine barely spoke to Michael. She was clearly upset with his position on the situation at school. Ryan, on the other hand, seemed more thoughtful than usual. "Ryan, are you ready to apologize to Jacob today?" asked Michael. "I think so." "You think?" I'm a little scared." "Scared of what? What if he doesn't accept my apology? What if he wants revenge?" Michael smiled slightly. It was the first time he had seen Ryan showing vulnerability about the situation. "Ryan, Jacob doesn't seem like the type of person who seeks revenge. From what I can tell, he just wants to be treated with respect. Do you think he'll want to be my friend?" "I don't know, son. Friendship is something built with time and trust. You hurt his feelings deeply. It might take a while for him to trust you again." "What if he never trusts me?" "Then you'll have to accept the consequences of your actions. But at least you'll know you tried to do the right thing." On the way to school, Ryan was quieter than normal. Michael could tell his son was really nervous about having to apologize publicly. "Dad," Ryan said as they were arriving at the school. "Yes? How do I apologize properly?" The question took Michael by surprise. It was obvious Ryan had never had to genuinely apologize for anything before. "Well, first you need to understand that you did something wrong. Second, you need to feel that you really hurt the person. Third, you need to speak from the heart, not just because someone told you to. What if I don't know what to say? Speak the truth. Say that you were wrong, that you're sorry, and that you want a chance to behave better." "Okay." Michael dropped Ryan off at school and headed to the office, but his mind remained divided between business problems and the situation with Jacob. All morning, he caught himself thinking about the boy and the strange feeling of connection he felt with him. Around 10 in the morning, he received an unexpected call from the school. "Mr. Anderson, this is the secretary from St. James Academy. Ms. Wilson would like to speak with you urgently." Did something happen to Ryan? "I can't give details over the phone, sir. The teacher asked that you come to the school as soon as possible." Michael cancelled all his morning meetings and drove quickly to the school. He found Margaret waiting for him in the coordinator's office with a worried expression. "Mr. Anderson, thank you for coming so quickly. Unfortunately, we've had another incident. What did Ryan do now?" "Actually, this time it wasn't exactly Ryan who caused the problem, but rather a consequence of his previous actions." Margaret took Michael to a room where Jacob was sitting, clearly shaken. The boy's eyes were red, as if he had been crying recently. "What happened?" "Some classmates decided to defend Ryan. They said Jacob is a snitch, and that because of him, Ryan is being punished. During recess, a group of boys surrounded Jacob and started teasing him." "And Ryan? Where was Ryan?" "Ryan tried to intervene, Mr. Anderson. He told the boys to stop, that they had gotten it all wrong, but they wouldn't listen." Michael approached Jacob. "Jacob, are you okay?" The boy nodded, but it was obvious he was shaken. "What exactly did they do?" "They said, 'I'm an intruder at school.'" Jacob spoke in a low voice. "That people like me shouldn't study with people like them, and that, what else, Jacob? That my mother abandoned me because I was no good." Michael felt a deep anger growing inside him. How could 11-year-old children be so cruel? "Jacob, that is not true. You are a smart boy, and you deserve to be here as much as any other student." Ryan said the same thing. Jacob looked at Michael with surprise. "He fought with the boys because of me." "Fought?" Ms. Wilson intervened. "It wasn't a physical fight, Mr. Anderson. But Ryan stood up firmly against his classmates. He said it was wrong to humiliate Jacob and that everyone should leave him alone." "Where is Ryan now?" "In the principal's office. Not because he did anything wrong, but because we want to talk to him about positive leadership." Michael felt proud of his son for the first time in a long while. "Can I speak with him?" "Of course, but first I need to discuss another matter with you." Helena turned to Jacob. "Jacob, can you wait in the library? I need to speak with Mr. Anderson about a private matter." After the boy left, Helena closed the office door. "Mr. Anderson, Jacob told me that last night his grandmother became very ill. She was admitted to the hospital overnight. How is he handling it? Poorly. His grandmother is the only family he has. The neighbors are taking care of him temporarily, but the situation is complicated. What kind of problem did his grandmother have? From what I understand, it was something related to her heart. She works as a house cleaner, works a lot of overtime to be able to pay for Jacob's school. The doctor said it was stress and overwork. Michael felt a weight in his chest. Indirectly, the problems at school were affecting Jacob's entire family. How can I help? Well, I don't know if it's appropriate to ask this, but do you know of any good private hospitals? Jacob's grandmother is being treated by Medicaid, and although the doctors are competent, perhaps private care could speed up the diagnosis and treatment. Of course, I'll arrange that immediately. Mr. Anderson, I didn't mean to suggest that you pay. Ms. Wilson, I want to pay. It's the least I can do. If it weren't for my son's behavior, perhaps the situation wouldn't have gotten to this point. Are you sure? Absolutely. Give me the grandmother's full name and the hospital where she is. I'll transfer her today to St. Elizabeth Medical Center. Mary Elizabeth Miller. She's at County General Hospital. Mary Elizabeth Miller. The name echoed strangely in Michael's mind. There was something familiar about it, but again he couldn't place what it was. I'll take care of this right now. And what about Jacob? Where will he stay while his grandmother is hospitalized? The neighbors have offered to help, but it's a temporary situation. If the hospitalization is prolonged, don't worry, I'll find a solution. Michael left the school with his mind racing. First, he called his health insurance and requested the urgent transfer of Mary Elizabeth Miller to St. Elizabeth Medical Center. Then, he cancelled all his appointments for the day and decided to go personally to County General Hospital. Dear listener, if you are enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we are just starting out. Now continuing. County General Hospital was as busy as ever. Michael asked at the reception about Mary Elizabeth Miller and was directed to the cardiology department. He found her in a room with 3 other patients, connected to some monitoring equipment. When she saw Michael approach, Mary became visibly nervous. You are? I'm Michael Anderson, father of Ryan, your grandson Jacob's classmate at school. Oh, her expression grew more tense. Have you come to blame me for what happened? On the contrary, Mrs. Mary, I came to apologize and offer help. Help? I've arranged your transfer to a private hospital. The ambulance should arrive within an hour. And don't worry about costs. Everything is paid for. Mary looked at him suspiciously. Why would you do this for us? Because my son was cruel to Jacob, and that indirectly affected your health. It's my responsibility to help. I don't need anyone's charity, no. It's not charity, Mrs. Mary. It's responsibility. I know the kind of person you are, she said, her voice growing harder. You think with money you can buy a clear conscience. The words hit Michael like a slap. There was something in the way she looked at him that made him uncomfortable. Mrs. Mary, may I ask how you managed to get Jacob a spot at St. James Academy? I worked there for a few years as a cleaning staff member. When I retired, they offered the boy a partial scholarship. I still pay 50% of the tuition, but it's less than I would pay at another good school. You worked at the school? I've worked in many places, young man. I've always worked hard to support my family. And Jacob's mother? Where is she? Mary's expression closed off completely. That is none of your business. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pry. It's just that Jacob looks a lot like I did when I was a child. It made me curious about the family. Looks like you. For the first time, Mary looked at him carefully, studying his face. What do you mean? It's hard to explain, but the resemblance is striking. The eyes, the shape of the face. Mary fell silent for a long moment, observing Michael with a strange expression. What is your full name? She asked finally. Michael Andrew Anderson. Anderson? Yes. Why? How old are you? 42. And where were you born? Right here in New York City, East Side. Why these questions? Mary didn't answer immediately. She seemed to be processing some important information. "Mrs. Mary, are you all right? Do you have any siblings?" "I had a sister, but she disappeared when we were teenagers. She fought with my parents and never came home." "What was your sister's name?" Lucy Anderson. Why are you asking this?" Mary closed her eyes and took a deep breath. "Lucy Anderson. Did you know my sister?" "Mr. Michael." Mary's voice was trembling. "I need you to sit down." "Why? What's happening?" "Lucy Anderson is my daughter." Michael's world stopped. He looked at Mary, unable to fully process what he had just heard. "What do you mean, your daughter?" "When Lucy ran away from home, she came knocking on my door. She was pregnant and had nowhere to go. My husband had recently passed away and I lived alone. I offered her shelter." "Pregnant?" Michael sat down heavily in the chair next to the bed. "With whose child?" "With a boy from the neighborhood. She was in love, but the boy's family didn't accept the relationship because she was too young." "And what happened?" "Lucy lived with me throughout the pregnancy. Jacob was born in my home. She registered the boy with my last name because she didn't want to involve the biological father. And then, after Jacob turned 6 months old, Lucy decided to try to make a life in another city. She said she wanted to start over, far from everything that reminded her of the past. She asked me to take care of the baby temporarily." "Temporarily?" "She promised she would return. She sent money for a few years, called from time to time, but 5 years ago, all contact stopped. Michael was trying to absorb the information. Jacob was his nephew, the son of his sister who had disappeared more than 20 years ago." "Where is she now?" "I don't know. The last time we spoke, she was in Pittsburgh, working at a store. But when I tried calling again, the number no longer existed." "Why did you never try to look for us? Look for my family?" "Lucy made me promise I wouldn't look. She said the family had rejected her and that she wanted nothing more to do with you." "We didn't reject her," Michael protested. "She left home after a bad fight with my father, but he always wanted her to come back." "That's not what she told me." "What exactly did she tell you? That your parents called her a tramp when they found out about the pregnancy? That your brother said she had dishonored the family?" Michael felt his blood run cold. Vaguely, he remembered that time. Lucy was 17 and had gotten involved with a boy her parents disapproved of. When she announced the pregnancy, there was a terrible argument. His father, conservative as he was, had indeed used harsh words, and he himself, in the immaturity of his 20 years, had supported his parents' position. "My God," he murmured, "we really did reject her." Lucy was destroyed. Pregnant, scared, with no family support. If I hadn't offered help, "Mrs. Mary, I didn't know. We were very young, immature. If I had known she was in need, there's no use regretting it now, young man. What's done is done." "But Jacob is my nephew." "Yes. And he doesn't know?" "He knows his mother has a family somewhere, but I never told him the details. Lucy asked me not to talk about you." Michael was in shock. For 15 minutes, he and Mary remained silent, each lost in their own thoughts. Finally, he spoke. "Mrs. Mary, I want to get to know my nephew better. I want to be a part of his life." "And you think it's that simple? Jacob grew up without a father's family. It won't be easy for him to accept you." "I understand, but I want to try, and I want to help you financially." "I already told you I don't need charity." "It's not charity. Jacob is my nephew. He's family. Family that rejected his mother. Family that made a terrible mistake and wants to try to make it right." Mary looked at him for a long moment. "And your wife? How will she react to finding out she has a poor nephew?" The question hit Michael hard. Catherine could barely accept that Ryan went to school with Jacob. How would she react upon learning the boy was part of the family? "I'll handle it," he said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. "And the boy, Ryan, does he know he humiliated his own cousin?" "No, no one knows yet. I need to process this information first." The conversation was interrupted by the arrival of the medical team, who would transfer Mary to St. Elizabeth Medical Center. During the procedures, Michael waited outside, calling the school to say he would pick up Jacob at the end of classes. At St. Elizabeth Medical Center, Mary was settled into a private room with all the necessary facilities. The doctors ran a series of tests and confirmed she had suffered a minor heart attack due to stress and overwork. With proper treatment, she would recover completely, but would need to rest for at least 2 weeks. "Jacob can stay with me during this time," Michael offered. "At your house?" Mary seemed worried. "Yes, I have plenty of room, and that way he'll be close to the hospital to visit you every day." "I don't know if that's a good idea." "Why not?" "Jacob isn't used to luxury. He might feel out of place. Or he might feel like he's with family." "Young man, you haven't told him about the family connection yet. How will you explain this sudden generosity?" Michael thought for a moment. "I'll tell him it's the least I can do since the problems at school may have contributed to her illness. And when he asks why you care so much?" "I'll improvise." "Mrs. Mary, I can't leave my nephew in the care of strangers knowing that I can offer a better situation. Your nephew, who you didn't even know existed until 2 hours ago. But now I know, and that changes everything." Mary sighed. "All right, but on one condition." "What?" "You don't reveal the family connection to Jacob until I give you permission. I need to think about the best way to tell him." "I agree. And another thing." "Go on." "If your wife or your son mistreat Jacob, I'll take him out of there immediately." "They won't mistreat him. Are you sure about that?" Michael hesitated. In truth, he wasn't sure of anything. "I'll make sure they don't mistreat him." "How?" "By talking to them, explaining the situation." "Without mentioning the family connection?" "Without mentioning the family connection." Around 5 in the afternoon, Michael went to pick up Jacob from school. He found the boy leaving the library, carrying his patched-up backpack with a worried expression. "Jacob!" The boy turned around, surprised to see Michael. "Hi, Mr. Michael, what are you doing here?" "I came to get you. I have news about your grandmother." Is she okay?" Jacob's voice was full of anxiety. "She is. In fact, she's better than she was this morning. I managed to transfer her to a private hospital where she'll get better treatment." But we don't have money for a private hospital." "Don't worry about that. It's all taken care of." "Mr. Michael, why are you doing this for us?" Michael crouched down to be at the boy's eye level. "Jacob, do you remember what happened this morning? With the boys who teased you?" "I remember." "Well, that made me think that maybe the problems at school had your grandmother worried and anxious, and that worry might have contributed to her health problem." "Was it my fault?" Jacob's eyes filled with tears. "No, Jacob, it wasn't your fault. It was my fault for not raising my son better." "But Ryan stood up for me today. He told the boys to leave me alone." "I know, and I'm proud of him for that. But still I feel I have a responsibility toward you and your grandmother." "What kind of responsibility?" "The responsibility to help when I can." "Jacob, while your grandmother is in the hospital, how would you like to stay at my house? That way you can visit her every day and you won't have to bother the neighbors." "At your house?" Jacob seemed shocked. But I can't do that." "Why not?" Because it would be really strange. I barely know you." "Then let's get to know each other better. And Ryan needs to learn to be a better friend too. How about it?" Jacob hesitated for a long moment. "What if your wife doesn't like me?" "She will like you." "What if I do something wrong?" "You won't do anything wrong. And if you do, we'll talk about it." "What if I break something expensive?" "Jacob, you're worrying too much. Let's do this. You stay at my house tonight. If you don't feel comfortable, I'll arrange another solution tomorrow. How about that?" "Okay," Jacob agreed hesitantly. On the way home, Michael took the opportunity to get to know the nephew he didn't even know he had. "Jacob, tell me something. What do you like to do most in your free time?" "I like to read and to draw." "What kind of books do you like?" "Adventure, mostly. My favorite is about pirates." "And drawings? What do you like to draw?" "Animals, especially horses." "Have you ever ridden a horse?" "No, I only see them on TV and in books, but one day I want to learn. Maybe we can arrange that." "Really?" Jacob's eyes lit up. "Really?" When they arrived home, Michael mentally prepared Jacob for the meeting with Catherine. Jacob, my wife can sometimes seem a little serious, but it's nothing personal. It's just her way. Okay. And if she says anything that bothers you, come find me later and we'll talk, all right? All right. They entered the house and found Catherine in the living room, reading a magazine. When she saw Jacob, her expression changed immediately. Michael, what is the meaning of this? Catherine, this is Jacob. He's going to stay with us for a few days while his grandmother is in the hospital. Hospital? She rose from the armchair. Michael, can we talk in private? Of course. Jacob, why don't you sit here in the living room while I have a quick talk with my wife? Ryan should be home from tennis practice any minute. Michael followed Catherine into the study, where she closed the door firmly. Michael, have you lost your mind? You brought that boy into our home? Catherine, his grandmother has been hospitalized. He has no one else. And that's our problem? Yes, it is. Ryan humiliated this boy for weeks. Indirectly, we contributed to the stress that put his grandmother in the hospital. Michael, that's ridiculous. You can't just bring any child into our home. He's not just any child. He's Ryan's classmate who is going through a difficult time. Why don't you find a foster family or an orphanage? Catherine, for heaven's sake, he's not an orphan, he just needs temporary help. Michael, I don't want this boy in my house. Why? Because I just don't. We have no obligation to him. Yes, we do. We have a moral obligation. Michael, you're being ridiculous and sentimental. And you're being cold and inhumane. The argument continued for a few more minutes, but Michael stood his ground. Jacob would stay in the house, at least for that night. When they returned to the living room, they found Ryan talking with Jacob. To Michael's surprise, the two seemed to be getting along. Dad, Ryan approached, Jacob told me his grandmother is in the hospital. That's right. That's why he's going to stay with us for a few days. Cool, can I show him my room? Of course. Catherine remained silent, but her expression made it clear she was not at all happy with the situation. During dinner, the atmosphere was tense. Jacob ate in silence, clearly intimidated by the luxury of the house and Catherine's subtle hostility. Ryan, on the other hand, was making a genuine effort to be friendly. Jacob, do you play video games? Ryan asked. I don't have a video game at home, but I've played at some friends' houses. Want to play with me after dinner? Yes, I'd like that. Michael smiled, happy to see the two boys interacting positively. Catherine, however, remained silent and clearly bothered. After dinner, while Ryan was showing Jacob his games, Michael took the opportunity to call the hospital and check on how Mary was doing. She's fine, the nurse informed him, resting. The additional tests will be done tomorrow morning. May I speak with her? She's sleeping right now, but she left a message for you. What message? She said to take good care of the boy and that she trusts you. Michael felt a strange emotion. Mary, who had initially received him with suspicion, was now showing enough trust to leave her grandson in his care. That night, Jacob slept in the guest room. Michael went to check if he was settled and found the boy awake, staring at the ceiling. Can't sleep? No. I'm worried about my grandma. She's going to be fine, Jacob, I promise. Mr. Michael? Yes? Why are you being so nice to me, even after everything that happened at school? Michael sat on the bed next to the boy. Jacob, sometimes we do the wrong things because we don't know any better. When we are confronted with our ignorance, we have two choices. Persist in the mistake or try to make it right. And you chose to try to make it right? I did. And do you know why? Why? Because when I look at you, I see an intelligent, brave and good kid, a kid who deserves every opportunity in the world, even though I'm poor. Jacob, being poor is not a flaw. It's just a temporary circumstance. Temporary? Yes. If you study, if you work hard, you can change your reality. You can become anything you want. Anything. Anything. Even a businessman like you? Even a businessman like me. Or a doctor, or a lawyer, or a teacher, or any other profession you choose. Jacob was thoughtful for a few moments. Mr. Michael. Yes? Thank you for everything. No one has ever been so nice to me. You're welcome, Jacob. Now try to sleep. Tomorrow we're going to visit your grandmother." The next morning, Michael woke up early and made breakfast for everyone. Jacob woke up shy, but more relaxed than the night before. Ryan was excited, suggesting activities to do with his new friend. "Dad, can I take Jacob to see the garden?" asked Ryan. "Of course, but be careful around the pool." "Do you know how to swim, Jacob?" Ryan asked. "No, I never learned." "Then I'll teach you. It's easy." "Ryan," Michael intervened, "first let's see if Jacob wants to learn, and if he does, I'll teach you both together." "I want to learn," Jacob said timidly. "Great, after we get back from the hospital." Catherine came down for breakfast, already dressed to go out. "I'm spending the day at my mother's house," she announced, avoiding looking at Jacob. "Catherine," Michael called her aside, "I need you to make an effort to be more welcoming to Jacob." "Michael, don't ask me to pretend something I don't feel." "I'm not asking you to pretend. I'm asking you to be human. I am human to those who deserve it. And an 11-year-old boy doesn't deserve humanity." "Michael, let's not argue about this again." "Yes, we will. Catherine, this boy is going through a tough time. The only family he has is in the hospital. The least we can do is treat him with kindness." "The least would be for him to be with a family of the same social class." "Social class? Catherine, he's a child who shouldn't be here. He is staying here until his grandmother recovers, and I want you to treat him with respect." "Or what? Or we are going to have serious problems in our marriage." Catherine looked at him, surprised. It was rare for Michael to speak so categorically. "Are you serious?" "Very serious. You're giving me an ultimatum over a boy you barely know." "I'm standing up for what's right. For you, maybe. For any decent person." Catherine left the house without saying goodbye. Michael was worried about her reaction, but he wasn't willing to back down. Jacob deserved to be treated with dignity. At the hospital, Mary was visibly better. The tests had confirmed it was just a mild heart attack, and with medication and rest she would recover completely. "Grandma!" Jacob ran to hug her. "My dear grandson, how are you?" "I'm fine. Mr. Michael is taking very good care of me." "And Ryan, how are you two getting along?" "Good. He's being nice to me. He even offered to teach me how to swim." Mary looked at Michael with an expression of gratitude. "How are things at home?" she asked when Jacob left the room to get some water. "Ryan is great. He's really changed his attitude. But my wife, she's not happy about it. No, she thinks Jacob shouldn't be there. Maybe she's right. She's not. Jacob is..." Michael stopped before saying family. "Jacob is what?" "He's a child who deserves affection, and he's being very well received by Ryan. That's what matters. And you? How are you feeling having him at home?" "Good. Very good, actually. He's a special boy." "Yes, he is. Very special." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. Michael spent the next week in a new and strange routine. He would take both boys to school in the morning, work during the day, and pick them up in the afternoon to go visit Mary in the hospital. Evenings were spent at home, with Ryan and Jacob doing homework together, playing video games or watching television. Ryan's transformation was remarkable. The boy who just a week earlier had humiliated Jacob for pleasure had now become his defender and friend. At school, when other classmates tried to pick on Jacob, Ryan would immediately step in. Ms. Wilson commented to Michael about the positive change. "It's impressive how children can change when they get the right example," she said during a quick meeting at the school. "Ryan has not only stopped bullying but has become a positive leader in the class." "I'm very proud of him," Michael admitted. "And Jacob? How is he handling everything?" "Better than I expected. He and Ryan have become genuine friends." "That's wonderful. And the situation at home?" "Ryan is great. My wife is adjusting." Margaret noticed the hesitation in Michael's voice, but didn't press the subject. In truth, the situation with Catherine was getting worse. She spent most of her time away from home, visiting friends or her own mother. When she was home, she treated Jacob with polite coldness, speaking only when necessary. The arguments between Michael and Catherine became frequent and tense. "Michael, how long is this boy going to stay in our house?" she asked one Thursday evening, after Jacob had gone to sleep. "Until his grandmother is discharged from the hospital." "And when will that be?" "Probably next week." "Great. I can't wait for our life to get back to normal." "Normal?" Michael looked at her incredulously. "Catherine, have you seen how Ryan has changed? How he's become more empathetic, more human? I've seen how confused he is. He no longer knows his place in society." "His place in society is to be a decent person. His place in society is to be a leader, not a follower of poor boys." "Jacob isn't just a poor boy, Catherine. He's intelligent, polite, determined, and poor. And that's all you can see in him. It's the only thing that matters. To you, perhaps. Not to me. Michael, you're getting too attached to this boy. It's not healthy. What's healthy is teaching our son to have compassion and empathy. What's healthy is teaching our son to associate with people of the same social standing. Catherine, some of those people of the same social standing are empty, shallow, and prejudiced. Jacob, even though he's poor, has more character than many of our wealthy acquaintances." "Michael, you're delusional." "I'm seeing reality for the first time." That Friday, Mary was discharged from the hospital. Michael went to pick her up, taking Jacob with him. On the way home, the boy was visibly sad. "What's wrong, Jacob?" Michael asked. "I'm going to miss you all." "We're going to miss you too. But you can visit us whenever you want." "Really?" "Really. And Ryan has already asked me to invite you for sleepovers on weekends." "And your wife? Will she allow it?" Michael hesitated. In truth, he hadn't spoken to Catherine about it yet. "We'll talk about it." When they arrived at Mary and Jacob's home, Michael was shocked by the poor conditions. It was a small two-room apartment in an old building, with old furniture and walls with water damage. Compared to the mansion where Jacob had spent the week, the difference was stark. "Mrs. Mary, are you sure you're well enough to come back to live here? This place looks like it needs some repairs." "It's what we can afford, Mr. Anderson." "How about if I arrange for some repairs? A fresh coat of paint, fixing the water damage?" "You don't have to." "But I want to do it." "Why?" Because you've become important to me." Mary looked at him for a long moment. "Mr. Anderson, may I speak with you in private?" "Of course." They went out to the small apartment balcony, leaving Jacob organizing his things in the bedroom. "Mr. Anderson, I need to ask you something." "Go ahead." "Why are you doing all this? And don't tell me it's just because of what happened at school." Michael took a deep breath. It was the opportunity to tell the truth. "Mrs. Mary, during this week spending time with Jacob, I've developed a genuine affection for him. He's a special boy. All boys are special to those who love them." "That's true, but with Jacob it's different. It's as if..." "As if what?" "As if I've known him for a long time. As if he were family." Mary was silent for a few moments. "Mr. Anderson, I think the time has come for us to tell Jacob the truth." "The truth?" "About the family connection. About him being your nephew. Are you sure?" "I am. Jacob is mature enough to understand. And after this week spending time with you, I think it will be easier for him to accept. What if he doesn't want anything to do with us? What if he prefers to keep his distance? It's a risk we have to take, but he deserves to know the truth. How should we tell him? Let's call him here and explain everything, from the beginning. What if he reacts badly? We'll deal with his reaction, but lying is no longer an option." Mary went to get Jacob, who returned to the balcony with a curious expression. "Grandma, are you both okay? You look like you have something serious to talk about." "We do, my grandson. Sit here." Jacob sat between the two adults, looking from one to the other. "Jacob," Mary began, "do you remember I always told you that your mother has family in New York City?" "I remember." "Well, I met a member of that family." "Where did you meet?" "At the hospital. It's Mr. Anderson." Jacob looked at Michael, confused. "What do you mean?" "Jacob," Michael took over, "your mother is my sister." Your sister? Yes, my sister Lucy, who disappeared from home over 20 years ago. So you're my uncle? I am. Jacob was silent for a long moment, processing the information. Why didn't you tell me before? Because, Mary explained, I didn't know Mr. Anderson was your uncle until he told me about the sister who had disappeared. And when did you find out? The first time he came to visit me in the hospital. And why didn't you tell me right away? Because, Michael said, we wanted to be sure how you would feel about it. How I would feel about having family. Yeah, you might not want to have a relationship with us. After all, your mother left home because of a fight with our family. Jacob became thoughtful again. What about Ryan? Does he know? No. No one else knows besides the three of us. Is Ryan my cousin? Yes. That's why he changed so much with me. Did you tell him? No, Michael assured him. Ryan changed because he genuinely recognized he was wrong. His change was real. And now? What happens now? Now, Mary said affectionately, you decide what you want to do with this information. What kind of decision? Whether you want to get to know your father's family better, whether you want to stay in touch with them. And if I do? Then, Michael smiled, you will be very welcome in our family. And if I don't? Then we respect your decision, but I hope you at least think about it. Jacob stood up and walked to the balcony railing, looking down at the busy street below. Can I ask some questions? As many as you like, said Michael. Why did my mother leave home? Michael sighed. She fell in love with a boy my parents didn't approve of. When she got pregnant, there was a very ugly argument. My parents said some harsh things and I, in my immaturity, supported them. Lucy felt rejected and left home. And you never tried to look for her? We tried at first, but she didn't want to be found. With time, we stopped looking. Did she tell you she was pregnant? No. We just found out you exist. And if you had known, everything would have been different. I would have supported her, helped her. Even though she was so young? Even though she was young. Family is family. Jacob sat back down. And your wife? How will she react when she finds out I'm your nephew? The question caught Michael off guard. He hadn't yet thought about how to tell Catherine. I'll talk to her. She doesn't like me very much, does she? She has a hard time with change, but when she finds out your family, it will be different. Are you sure? I am, Michael lied. And my mother? Where is she? We don't know, Mary answered. We lost contact 5 years ago. Are you going to try to find her? If you want, yes, said Michael. I can hire private investigators. I want to. I really want to meet my mother. Then we'll look for her. What if she doesn't want to see us? We'll deal with that if it happens. But first, let's find her. Jacob was silent for a few minutes. Finally, he spoke. Uncle Michael? Yes. Can I call you Uncle? Of course you can. So, do I have a real family now? You always did, Jacob. We just didn't know where you were. And will I be able to keep visiting you? Not just visit. I want you to feel at home there. And will Ryan find out that we're cousins? If you want, yes. I do. I think he'll be happy. Why? Because he said he always wanted to have a brother. That night, Michael went home with a heavy heart. He had to tell Catherine and Ryan about his family tie to Jacob, but he didn't know how they would react. He found Ryan in his room doing homework. Dad, how is Jacob? Is he sad about leaving our house? He is a little sad, yes. But Ryan, I have something important to tell you. What is it? It's about Jacob. I found out something surprising about him. What? Jacob is my nephew, the son of my sister who disappeared many years ago. Ryan stopped writing and looked at Michael open-mouthed. Really? Really? So he's my cousin? Yes. That's why you look so much alike. I had noticed, but I thought it was a coincidence. You think we look alike? A lot, especially the eyes and the way you smile. Michael smiled. It was true, he and Jacob had very similar smiles. And now, Ryan, How do you feel knowing that Jacob is your cousin? Happy. Very happy. I always wanted to have a brother or a cousin my age, even though he's poor. Dad, after this week getting to know Jacob better, I understood that being poor isn't a flaw. He's smart, brave, cool. He's even more mature than me in many things. I'm proud of you, Ryan. Dad? Yes? Can I invite Jacob to spend the weekend here? I want to celebrate that we found out we're cousins. Of course. But first I need to talk to your mother. She'll be happy too, right? I hope so. When Catherine got home around 10 at night, Michael was waiting for her in the living room. Catherine, I need to talk to you about something important. If it's about that boy, I don't want to hear it. It is about Jacob, yes, but it's different from what you imagine. Michael, the boy is already gone. We can forget this story. We can't forget because Jacob is my nephew. Catherine stopped in the middle of the room. What do you mean, your nephew? The son of my sister Lucy, the one who disappeared 20 years ago. That's impossible. It's not. Jacob's grandmother confirmed everything. Lucy lived with her during the pregnancy and left the baby in her care. Michael, this is a setup. They found out you have money and made up this story. They didn't make up anything, Catherine. The physical resemblance is obvious. And besides, why would they make it up? I never asked for anything in return. So that you'll keep helping them financially. Catherine, even if it were a setup, why would that be a bad thing? Jacob is a child who needs help. Because he's not our son. He's not our responsibility. But he's my nephew. He's family. A family you didn't even know existed. And now I do, and that changes everything. It changes nothing for me. It should change. Jacob is Ryan's cousin. A poor cousin who will try to take advantage of us. Catherine, you're being unfair. Jacob never asked for anything. In fact, he's too proud to easily accept help. Michael, I don't want this boy in our family. He is already part of our family, Catherine. The question is whether we will welcome him or reject him. I reject him. Even though he's my own flesh and blood? Especially because of that. I don't want Ryan mixing with that part of his family. What part? The humble part? The problematic part? Jacob is not problematic. He's a wonderful child. He's a poor child who will bring problems to our family. What kind of problems? Social ones. What will our friends think when they find out we have a nephew who lives in a tenement? Our true friends will accept it. The others don't matter. They matter to me. More than family. Michael, that boy is not our family. He's a complication. He's my nephew, Catherine. And Ryan already knows. You told Ryan? I did. How did he react? He was happy. He said he always wanted to have a cousin. Ryan is confused. He doesn't know what's best for him. Ryan knows exactly how he feels, and what he feels is genuine affection for his cousin. The argument went on through the night, without them reaching an agreement. Catherine was unyielding in her position, and Michael equally determined to welcome Jacob into the family. On Saturday morning, Michael went to pick up Jacob to spend the weekend at their house. The boy was excited and anxious to know how Ryan had reacted to the news of their relation. Was he happy? He asked as soon as he got in the car. Very happy. He said he always wanted to have a cousin his age. I always wanted to have cousins too, or brothers, or any family besides Grandma. Now you do. And your wife, how did she react? Michael hesitated. She needs some time to get used to the idea. She didn't like it, did she? Jacob, some people have a hard time dealing with change. It's nothing personal against you. Okay. But Michael could tell the boy wasn't convinced. At home, Ryan greeted Jacob with an enthusiastic hug. Cousin, I can't believe we're real cousins. I can't believe it either. Jacob smiled. Come on, I'll show you our family tree. My dad has a folder with old family photos. The two ran to Michael's office and he went with them. He opened an old album and showed photos of his and Lucy's childhood. This is your mother, Jacob. The boy stared at the photo of a smiling teenager with long brown hair. She's pretty. Yes, she is. And you have her eyes. Really? Really? Do you want to keep this photo? Can I? Of course. Jacob held the photo carefully as if it were the most precious object in the world. "Ryan, you look a lot like Uncle Michael when he was a kid," he observed, looking at other photos. "It's true. Everyone says that." "And do I look like anyone in the family? Like your father when he was your age, and a little like your mother too. Can I take more photos to show Grandma?" "You can take as many as you want." During lunch, Catherine joined them, but remained cold and distant. Jacob immediately noticed the hostility and felt uncomfortable. "Aunt Catherine," he tried to start a conversation. "Thank you for letting me stay here." "You're welcome," she replied dryly without looking at him. Ryan noticed his mother's coldness and tried to compensate by being extra affectionate with Jacob. "Cousin, after lunch, I'll teach you how to play chess. My dad taught me and now I can teach you." "Cool, I always wanted to learn. And tomorrow, if the weather is good, we can swim in the pool. I still don't know how to swim well. I'll teach you, it's easy." After lunch, while the boys were playing in the room, Michael confronted Catherine about her behavior. "Catherine, you're being unnecessarily cold with Jacob. I'm treating him politely." "You're treating him like an unwanted stranger. That's what he is. He is my nephew. For you, maybe. For me, he is nothing." "Catherine, Ryan noticed your coldness. It's making him uncomfortable too. Ryan will understand when he's older." "Understand what?" "That not all people are like us." "Jacob is like us, Catherine. He's a child, like Ryan. A poor child. A child, period. Michael, it's no use insisting. I won't fake an affection I don't feel." "Then at least be cordial. For Ryan." "I am being cordial. You're being hostile. I'm being realistic." That night, Michael went to check if the boys were okay and found Jacob awake again, staring at the ceiling. "What is it this time?" "Uncle Michael, your wife doesn't like me." "Jacob, you don't have to lie. She makes it very clear. She has trouble accepting changes, or she has trouble accepting poor people in her family." The boy's observation was accurate and painful. "Jacob, not all people are the same. Some are more open, others more closed. And you? How do you feel about having a poor nephew?" "Proud, very proud. Even though I have no money or social standing, especially because of that. You've earned everything you have through your own effort, your intelligence, your education, your character. No one gave that to you. You deserved it." "Thank you for saying that. It's the truth, Jacob." "Uncle Michael?" "Yes?" "Even with the problems with your wife, do you still want me to be part of the family?" "I really do. And Ryan wants it too." "And if she never accepts me?" "Then the problem is hers, not ours. Would you say that even if she left because of me?" The question hit Michael hard. Would he put Jacob above his marriage? "I hope it doesn't come to that, Jacob. But if it did..." "Jacob, you don't choose family for convenience. If she can't accept you, who are my own flesh and blood, then maybe we have bigger problems in our marriage." "I don't want to cause problems in your family." "You're not causing problems. You're revealing problems that were already there." On Monday, Michael took Jacob back home before going to work. On the way, the boy was thoughtful. "Uncle Michael, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Are you really going to try to find my mother?" "I am. I've already contacted a private investigator. And if she doesn't want to see us?" "Jacob, your mother has the right to know that you grew up well, that you're smart and educated, and you have the right to know her. And if she has another family, we'll deal with that when the time comes." "Uncle Michael?" "Yes?" "Thank you for everything, for accepting me into the family, for taking care of Grandma Mary, for being nice to me." "Jacob, you don't have to thank me for doing what's right." "Yes, I do. Not everyone would do what you did. Any decent person would." "No. Aunt Catherine is a decent person, but she didn't." The boy's observation left him speechless. During the week, Michael established a routine of visits. Every afternoon after work, he stopped by Jacob's house to see how he and Mary were doing. On Wednesdays and Fridays, he took the boy to have dinner at his house. On Saturdays, Jacob spent the day with Ryan. Catherine, in turn, increased her absences from home. When she was present during Jacob's visits, she kept her distance and was cold. The arguments between the couple became constant. "Michael, this can't continue," she said on a Thursday night. "What can't continue?" "This obsession with that boy." "It's not an obsession, it's family." "It is an obsession. You spend more time with him than with me." "I spend more time with him because you leave the house whenever he's here." "I leave because I can't stand this situation anymore." "What situation?" "A child coming to have dinner with the family a few times a week. A child who isn't our daughter interfering in our family life." "He doesn't interfere with anything. In fact, Ryan is happier than ever." "Ryan is confused. Ryan is learning to be more human and empathetic. He's mixing with people who aren't on his level." "Catherine, if you keep talking like that, I'm going to think I don't know the woman I married." "Maybe you really don't know." The sentence hung in the air, heavy and full of meaning. That Friday, Michael received a call from the private investigator. "Mr. Anderson, I found Lucy Anderson." "Where is she?" "In Pittsburgh. She works as a manager of a clothing store. Lives alone in an apartment downtown." Is she okay?" "Apparently, yes. She's built a stable life there." "And does she have a family? A husband? Children?" "No, sir. From the records I could obtain, she never married and has no other children." "Did you get her phone number?" "I did. But Mr. Anderson, may I suggest you be careful in your approach? Sometimes these kinds of reunions can be traumatic." "I understand. Could you make the first contact, explain the situation?" "Yes, I can." "How would you like me to approach it?" "Tell her you're an investigator hired by the family to locate her. Explain that we found out about Jacob and that we would like to talk to her. And if she refuses, insist that it's about her son, that he is well and wants to meet her." "All right, I'll make contact today and call you back." Michael hung up the phone with a racing heart. After more than 20 years, they had finally found Lucy's whereabouts. But how would she react? Would it be a happy or a painful reunion? He decided not to tell Jacob yet. First, he wanted to know Lucy's reaction. At 6 in the evening, the investigator called again. "Mr. Anderson, I managed to speak with your sister." "How did she react?" "She was very shocked at first. She thought it was some kind of scam. But when I explained about Jacob, about him living with her mother, she started to cry." "And what did she say?" "That she thinks about her son every day. That she left New York City out of shame and fear of being rejected again, but she never stopped loving him." "Does she want to see him?" "Very much so. But she's afraid." "Afraid of what?" "That he won't like her. That he's hurt because she left." "And what about us? Does she want to see us?" "She asked specifically about you. Said she always missed her brother." "What did you tell her?" "That you are eager to see her. That you deeply regret how things happened." "And now?" "She wants to talk to you. Can I give you her number?" "Yes, please." Michael wrote down the number and thanked the investigator. He took a few deep breaths before dialing. The phone rang 3 times before a woman's voice answered. "Hello? Lucy?" Michael's voice was choked up. "Michael?" She began to cry. "Is it really you?" "It's me, little sister. My dear little sister. Michael, forgive me. Forgive me for leaving, for not getting in touch, for... No, Lucy, I'm the one who should ask for forgiveness. And Dad and Mom, we were terrible to you. You were trying to protect me. We were being prejudiced and cruel. A scared 17-year-old pregnant girl needed support, not judgment. It's in the past, Michael. It's in the past. It's not. You lost 20 years of family life because of us. And you lost 20 years with a wonderful nephew. He really is wonderful, Lucy. Smart, polite, affectionate. How is he? Physically, I mean. Tall for his age, thin, brown hair like yours, and he has your eyes, Lucy. Exactly your eyes. And his mother, Mrs. Mary, a wonderful lady. She raised Jacob with so much love and dedication. She was always my second mother. Lucy, Jacob really wants to meet you. And I really want to meet him. But I'm so scared. Scared of what? That he won't like me. That he'll blame me for leaving. Lucy, Jacob is a wise and understanding child. He'll understand. You think so? I'm sure. Michael, what about you? Do you forgive me for leaving without saying goodbye? I'm the one who needs your forgiveness, Lucy, for not defending you, for letting you leave home hurt. You were young too. But I was your older brother. I should have protected you. They talked for 2 hours, catching up on their lives. Lucy talked about the difficult years at the beginning, working humble jobs to support herself. Then, how she managed to study at night and specialize in business administration. How she built a solid career but never managed to have a serious relationship with anyone. I always felt like a part of me was in New York City, she explained. My son, my adoptive mother, my family. I never could fully commit to a new life. Michael talked about his business career, about Ryan, about reconnecting with Jacob. He avoided talking about the problems with Catherine. Michael, when can I see my son? Whenever you want, Lucy. I can bring him to Pittsburgh this weekend. Really? Of course. Or you can come to New York City. I think I'd prefer to go there. I want to see Mother Mary too. Great. How about next weekend? That works. Lucy? Yes? I've missed you. Me too, bro. So much. When he hung up the phone, Michael was emotional. Finally, after more than 20 years, his family would be reunited again. The next day, he told the news to Jacob. The boy was silent for a long moment before asking, She wants to meet me. She really does, Jacob. She said she thinks about you every day. Why did she leave? Because she was very young and she was scared, and because our family didn't support her like they should have. She abandoned me because of you. No, Jacob, she made the best decision she could at the time. She left you with your grandmother because she knew you would be well taken care of. And now, she wants to come back? She wants to meet you, talk to you. Then you two can decide together what your relationship will be like. When is she coming? Next Saturday. I'm nervous. That's normal. She's nervous too. What if she doesn't like me? Impossible. You're her son, Jacob. She already loves you before even meeting you. The following Saturday, Michael went to pick up Lucy at the airport. 23 years later, the siblings met in the arrivals hall. Lucy, now 40, kept the natural beauty of her youth, but her face carried the marks of years of longing. The hug between the siblings was long and emotional. They both cried without embarrassment. You haven't changed a bit, said Lucy, holding her brother's face. You look beautiful, more mature, more elegant, but with the same kind eyes. On the way to Mary's house, Lucy was visibly nervous. Michael, what if Jacob doesn't accept me? He will accept you. It might not be immediate, but he will accept you. What if he asks me questions I don't know how to answer? Answer with the truth. Children handle the truth better than lies. I'm so afraid of disappointing him. Lucy, the simple fact that you're here already shows you care about him. They arrived at Mary's apartment. Lucy took a deep breath before going up the stairs. When Mary opened the door, the two women hugged and cried. My dear daughter, whispered Mary. How I've missed you. Mother Mary, please forgive me for disappearing like that. You don't need to ask for forgiveness. You did what you thought was best at the time. And Jacob, where is he? In the bedroom. He's nervous too. Lucy walked slowly toward the bedroom. She knocked lightly on the door. Jacob, can I come in? You can. She opened the door and saw a tall, thin boy sitting on the bed, looking out the window. When he turned around, Lucy caught her breath. It was like looking at a male version of herself as a child. Hi, she said softly. Hi. They looked at each other in silence for a few seconds. You're my mother. I am. Why did you leave? Jacob's direct and honest question touched Lucy deeply. Because I was very young and I was scared, afraid I wouldn't be able to take good care of you. And now? Are you still scared? I am. But it's a different kind of fear. Now I'm afraid you won't like me. Why wouldn't I like you? Because I abandoned you when you were a baby. You didn't abandon me. You left me with Grandma so I would be well taken care of. Jacob's mature answer surprised Lucy. How do you know that? Uncle Michael explained it to me. He said you were very young and that you made the best decision you could. And you believe him? I do. He wouldn't lie to protect me. Lucy approached the bed. Can I sit here next to you? You can. She sat down, keeping a respectful distance. Jacob, I want you to know that I never stopped thinking about you. Not a day went by that I didn't wonder how you were, if you were okay, if you were happy. Why did you never come back to see me? Because I was ashamed. Ashamed of having left. Ashamed of not being able to raise you. Ashamed that I might not be good enough to be your mother. And now? Now I want to try to be a part of your life. If you want, of course. What do you mean, be a part of my life? Talk to you, get to know you, be there for the important things. And if I do something wrong, will you leave again? The question broke Lucy's heart. Never again, Jacob. I will never leave again. Promise. I promise. Jacob studied her for a moment. Can I ask you a personal question? You can ask as many as you want. Why did you never get married or have other children? Because a part of my heart was always here with you. I couldn't give myself completely to anyone knowing I had a son I didn't know. And now? Now I want to get to know my son. I want to know what kind of person he's become. What kind of person would you like me to be? A good, honest, respectful person. And from what I see, that's exactly what you are. How can you know if you barely know me? Because I know the person who raised you. Mother Mary is one of the most upright people I've ever known, and because your Uncle Michael talks about you with so much pride and affection. He's good to me. He told me that you changed his life, that you helped Ryan become a better person. Ryan is my cousin, and now my best friend. And you? How do you feel having discovered you have a family? Good, really good. I always wanted to have a family. And with me? How do you feel having met me? Jacob thought before answering. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I think I'm happy. Just think? It's a lot to process all at once. For 11 years I didn't have a mother. Now I do. I understand. And you don't have to decide anything right now. We can take it slow, get to know each other little by little. Are you going to stay in New York City? For now, I'll stay at the hotel. Later on, if you want, I can look for a house here. You would leave your life in Pittsburgh to be near me? I would leave anything to be near you. And your job? I can get work here too. You would really do that? Jacob, I missed 11 years of your life. I don't want to miss another day. For the first time since they had met, Jacob smiled at Lucy. I think I'd like you to stay around. Really? Really? Can I give you a hug? You can. The hug between mother and son was hesitant at first, but gradually grew warmer. Lucy wept silently, holding tight to the son she had left as a baby and was now meeting again as a near teenager. Jacob. Yes. Thank you for giving me a chance. Thank you for coming back. During the rest of the weekend, the family gathered at Michael's house. Lucy met Ryan, who welcomed her with the kindness typical of his new personality. She also saw the house where she had grown up, looked at old photos again, and recalled childhood memories. Catherine, however, remained distant throughout the family gathering. She greeted Lucy politely, but showed no interest in getting to know her better. Michael, Lucy pulled her brother aside for a private conversation. I noticed your wife isn't very comfortable with the situation. Yeah, she has a hard time accepting changes. Or she has a hard time accepting our family. That might be it too. Michael, I don't want to cause problems in your marriage. You're not causing problems. You're revealing incompatibilities that were already there. What do you mean? Catherine has always been a bit elitist, but ever since Jacob came into our lives, she's been showing a prejudice I didn't know she had. And that bothers you? Very much. I can't accept that the mother of my son is prejudiced against my nephew. Have you talked to her about it? Several times. But she's unyielding. And now? How will you resolve it? I don't know, Lucy. Honestly, I don't know. On Sunday evening, as Lucy was getting ready to return to Pittsburgh, she had a private talk with Jacob. Son, how are you feeling after this weekend? Confused but happy. Confused why? Because for 11 years I imagined what it would be like to have a mother, and now that I do, I'm not quite sure how to act. You don't need to act in any special way, just be yourself. And you, are you really moving back to New York City? If you want me to, yes. I do. Then I'll arrange my transfer here. What if it doesn't work out? What if we can't get along? We will, Jacob. It might take time, but we will. How can you be so sure? Because you are my son, and I am your mother. The love between a mother and son might lie dormant, but it never dies. I love you too. I don't know how to show it yet, but I do. You don't need to show anything. Love shows itself, in time. A week later, Lucy moved back to New York City for good. She got a transfer to a store in the same chain and rented an apartment just a few blocks from Mary's house. The adjustment wasn't easy, for either her or Jacob, but both were determined to build a relationship. Michael was happy to see the family coming together again. Ryan gained not just a cousin, but also a caring aunt who quickly grew fond of him. The only shadow over the family picture was Catherine, who was becoming increasingly distant and hostile. Things came to a head one Friday night when Michael came home with Lucy and Jacob for a family dinner. Catherine greeted them with icy coldness. Michael, I need to speak with you, she said, completely ignoring the visitors. Now? Now. Lucy, Jacob, could you wait in the living room? I'll be right back. In the study, Catherine slammed the door shut. Michael, this has to stop. What has to stop? This invasion of our home by these people. These people? You're talking about my sister and my nephew. I'm talking about people who are not part of our family. They are part of my family. Yours, maybe. Not mine. Catherine, Lucy is my sister. Jacob is my nephew. Ryan is his cousin. How are they not part of our family? Because I don't accept them into my family. Why? Because they're poor, Michael. Because they're going to want to take advantage of us, because they're not from our social circle. Catherine, you are being prejudiced and cruel. I'm being realistic. You're being inhuman. Michael, either you choose them or you choose me and Ryan. What do you mean? I won't accept this situation anymore. Either you stop bringing these people into our home, or Ryan and I are leaving. Catherine, you can't be serious. I am very serious. Are you giving me an ultimatum because of my family? I'm giving you an ultimatum because of our marriage. Catherine, if you can't accept my family, then perhaps our marriage has bigger problems than I imagined. Our marriage only has problems because of this obsession of yours with these people. It's not an obsession. It's family love. It's a sick obsession. Catherine, do you know what's sick? It's a mother who can't accept that her own son has a poor cousin. Ryan shouldn't have poor cousins. Ryan should have human and decent cousins, and Jacob is both. Michael, last chance. Either you choose your real family or your imaginary family. My real family includes Lucy and Jacob. Then you've made your choice. I have. And you? I have too. Catherine left the office and went upstairs to the bedroom. Michael was left alone, trying to process what had just happened. His 15-year marriage had come to an end because of prejudice and intolerance. He went back to the living room where Lucy and Jacob were waiting uncomfortably. Sorry for the delay. We had a discussion. Michael, Lucy stood up. I think it's better if we leave. We don't want to cause trouble. You're not causing trouble. You're revealing problems that already existed. Even so, Lucy, this is my home too, and you are always welcome here. And your wife? My wife needs to learn to live with reality. What reality? That family isn't chosen by social class. That night, Catherine packed her bags and went to her mother's house, taking Ryan with her. The boy was confused and sad, not understanding why his mother was separating him from his father and his newly discovered cousin. "Mum, why are we leaving home?" he asked in the car. "Because your father has lost touch with reality." "What reality?" "Ryan, you'll understand when you're older." "But I like Jacob. He's my cousin." "Ryan, not all relatives are worth it." "What do you mean?" "I mean that some people just want to take advantage of us. Jacob never asked us for anything. Not yet, but he will. And if he doesn't? He will, Ryan. Poor people always ask." "Mum, don't you like poor people?" "It's not a matter of liking or not liking. It's a matter of everyone knowing their place." "And what is Jacob's place?" "Far away from our family." Ryan was silent for the rest of the ride, but it was clear he didn't agree with his mother. The next morning, Michael received a call from Ryan. "Dad, Mum said I can't see you or Jacob anymore." "Ryan, that's not true. You can see me whenever you want." "How?" "Mum won't let me." "Ryan, let me work this out with your mother." "Dad, I want to come home, and I want you to come home. But first, your mother and I need to sort out some problems." "What problems?" "Adult problems, Ryan." "Is it because of Jacob?" "It's because of differences of opinion about family. Dad, I want to keep being friends with Jacob." "And you will, I promise. And with Aunt Lucy, too. She's nice. She likes you a lot, too." "Dad?" "Yes?" "Are you going to separate?" The question hurt Michael deeply. "I don't know, Ryan. I hope not." "I don't want you to separate." "I don't either." "Then why don't you make up?" "Sometimes, Ryan, people have very different ideas about important things, and those differences can be hard to resolve. But doesn't love solve everything?" "It should, but it doesn't always." During the next 2 weeks, Michael tried to talk to Catherine several times. She remained unyielding in her position. Either he chose Lucy and Jacob, or he chose the family. "Catherine, why can't you understand that I can love you and Ryan and also love my sister and my nephew?" "Because it's not compatible." "Why isn't it compatible?" "Because they are different worlds. They are different people, but they can coexist in the same world." "They can't. Not the way you want." "The way I want?" "You want me to treat them like family." "They are family. To you." "Catherine, Ryan is Jacob's cousin. How is that not family?" "It's a kinship that shouldn't exist." "But it does. So now what?" "Now you choose, either them or us." "Catherine, why are you forcing me to choose?" "Because you forced me to accept an unacceptable situation." "What's unacceptable about having a larger family?" "What's unacceptable is having a poor family." "So that's it. It's pure and simple prejudice. It's pure and simple realism. It's pure and simple intolerance." The conversations always ended the same way, with no agreement and more resentment on both sides. Meanwhile, Michael was building an increasingly close relationship with Lucy and Jacob. They had lunch together every Friday, spent Saturdays as a family, and Jacob had started affectionately calling him Uncle Michael, always with a smile on his face. "Uncle Michael," Jacob said one Saturday afternoon, "thank you for accepting our family." "Jacob, you don't need to thank me for something natural." "But it wasn't natural for everyone." "Unfortunately not." "Are you sad about the separation?" "I am, but I don't regret making the right choice." "What choice?" "The choice to welcome you into my life." "What if Aunt Catherine changed her mind? If she accepted us?" "That would be wonderful, but I'm not going to wait for that." "And Ryan? Do you miss him?" "I miss him a lot, but I talk to him every day." "Can he come visit us?" "He can, if his mother allows it." "And if she doesn't?" "When Ryan turns 12, he can choose for himself who he wants to spend weekends with. It won't be long, right?" "It won't be long." 1 month after the separation, Ryan turned 12. By law, he could choose which parent he wanted to spend weekends with. To Catherine's surprise, he chose to stay with Michael. "Ryan, are you sure?" his mother asked. "Yes, I want to stay with Dad, Aunt Lucy, and Jacob." "Ryan, they are not your real family." "Yes, they are, Mom, and they are more affectionate with me than you are." "What do you mean?" "You only tell me about things I can't do, people I can't play with, places I can't go. They make me feel happy." "Ryan, they are manipulating you." "Mom, they make me feel special. without telling me I'm better than anyone else. You are better than them. I'm not, Mom. I'm different, but not better. Ryan, you will regret this choice. Mum, I regret having taken so long to make this choice. On the first weekend Ryan spent with Michael after the separation, the boy's joy was evident. He and Jacob played like brothers, talked to Lucy as if she had been a beloved aunt for years, and showed a genuine connection. "Dad," Ryan said on Sunday night, "thank you for bringing Aunt Lucy's family into our life." "Why?" "Because now I understand what a real family is." "What do you mean?" "A real family isn't about who has more money or a higher social status. It's about who truly cares about you." "And who truly cares about you?" "You, Aunt Lucy, Jacob, Grandma Mary, and even Mom, in her own way. Your mother loves you, Ryan. She just has a hard time showing it the right way." "I know. But her love comes with conditions. Your love for me is unconditional. That's how it should be." "Dad?" "Yes?" "Can I ask you something kind of personal?" "Of course. Do you still love Mom?" "I do. But sometimes love isn't enough to keep two people together." "Why?" "Because besides love, you need to have respect, tolerance, and compatible values. And you don't have them. Not all of them. Are you going to get a divorce?" "Probably." "And how do you feel about that?" "Sad. But relieved too." "Relieved? Relieved that I don't have to pretend anymore that I agree with attitudes I consider wrong." "Like what attitudes? Like prejudice against people because of their social class?" "Dad, do you think Mum will ever change?" "I don't know, Ryan. I hope so. And if she doesn't change, then she'll miss out on a lot of time with wonderful people like Aunt Lucy and Jacob. And with me too. She will never miss out on time with you, Ryan. You are her son. But she might miss the opportunity to see you grow into a better person." "Why better?" "Because spending time with Jacob taught you empathy, humility, generosity, qualities you don't learn from books or expensive schools." "It's true. Jacob taught me a lot." "What kind of things?" "That being brave isn't about humiliating others. It's about defending others when they are being humiliated." "Exactly. That being smart isn't about knowing more than others. It's about using what you know to help others." "Right. And that being rich isn't about having more money than others. It's about being grateful for what you have and sharing when you can." "Ryan, I am very proud of you." "Why?" "Because you learned in a few months' lessons that many adults take a lifetime to learn." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. The following months brought a new routine for the expanded family. Michael, Lucy, Jacob, Ryan, and Mary formed a solid and harmonious family unit. Family meals on weekends became a tradition. School vacations were planned together. Difficulties were faced collectively. Jacob flourished in this environment of acceptance and affection. His grades at school improved even more. He developed new hobbies and showed growing self-confidence. His relationship with Lucy, although still being built, was solidifying day by day. "Mom," he said one Sunday afternoon, "thank you for coming back to New York City. Thank you for accepting me into your life. You were always in my life. You just weren't physically present." "What do you mean?" "Grandma always talked about you, about your qualities, your dreams, your affection for me. I grew up knowing I had a mother who loved me, even from far away." "And did that help you?" "A lot. It helped me not to feel abandoned." "But did you feel abandoned sometimes?" "Sometimes, yes, especially when I saw the other boys with their mothers." "I'm sorry for that." "Mom, you don't need to apologize anymore. You did the best you could at the time." "How can you be so mature at 11 years old? Grandma taught me that holding a grudge only hurts the one who holds it, and that everyone makes mistakes." "Your grandmother is a wise woman." "Yeah, and she always said that one day you would come back." "She always believed that?" "Always. She said a mother's love never dies." "She was right." "She was, Mom?" "Yes? Now that we're together, can I ask you for something?" "Anything." "Can you teach me to be like you, brave enough to start over when necessary?" "Jacob, You are already brave. Much braver than I am. What do you mean? You had the courage to forgive me. You had the courage to accept a new family. You had the courage to change Ryan's and Uncle Michael's lives. I changed their lives. A lot. Uncle Michael was a successful but cold businessman. Now he smiles more. He's more human, more generous. And Ryan? Ryan was a spoiled and prejudiced boy. Now he's empathetic and supportive. That was their merit, not mine. It was the merit of all of you. It's what happens when good people find each other. Meanwhile, the relationship between Michael and Catherine continued to deteriorate. She had filed for divorce and was requesting full custody of Ryan. Michael, in turn, was willing to fight for shared custody. "Doctor," he said to his lawyer, "I cannot accept losing the day-to-day life with my son." "Mr. Anderson, from what I understand, your wife claims that you are prioritizing other family relationships to the detriment of your own son." "That's a lie. I am expanding my son's family relationships." "How so?" "My son has gained a cousin his own age, a caring aunt, an adoptive grandmother. How can that be harmful?" "Your wife claims these are people from a lower social class who could negatively influence your son. My lawyer, these people have positively influenced my son. Ryan has become more humane, more empathetic, more generous." "And can you prove that?" "I can. The school has reports about Ryan's behavioral transformation. The teacher can testify." "Excellent. And what about the claim that you abandoned the marital home?" "I didn't abandon it. She left the house with Ryan when she refused to accept my family." "And why did she refuse?" "For pure and simple social prejudice. She does not accept that poor people should be part of our family." "I see, Mr. Anderson. I'll be frank. Custody cases are always complex. But if we can prove that the interaction with your extended family benefits Ryan, we have a good chance. And if we can't, then we will have to settle for shared custody under the terms the judge determines. Doctor, you need to understand one thing. I will not give up my family to please my ex-wife. If that means losing custody, so be it." "Are you sure about that position?" "Absolutely. I cannot teach my son to have character if I don't demonstrate it myself." The first custody hearing was scheduled for a Thursday in October. Michael arrived accompanied by his lawyer, while Catherine was with a team of 3 expensive lawyers. Ryan, being 12 years old, would be heard by the judge in chambers. "Dr. Michael Anderson," the judge began, "your wife claims that you have been prioritizing recent family relationships to the detriment of the minor Ryan's well-being. What do you have to say about that?" "Your Honor, what I did was integrate my son into a family he didn't know. My nephew Jacob and my sister Lucy have always been part of our family. We just didn't know where they were. And Mrs. Catherine alleges that this integration has been harmful to the minor. On the contrary, Your Honor, Ryan has become a more empathetic, more generous and happier child after meeting his cousins." "Cousins?" The judge flipped through the documents. "It only lists one nephew here. Ryan refers to Jacob as his cousin and treats my sister Lucy as his aunt. They have developed genuine family bonds." "Mrs. Catherine," the judge addressed the ex-wife, "what exactly is your objection to this family interaction?" "Your Honor, these people are from a social class far inferior to ours. My son is being influenced by values incompatible with our social position." "What kind of values?" "Conformity with poverty, acceptance of inferior social conditions, loss of ambition." "Mrs. Catherine, can you give concrete examples of these negative influences?" "My son has started to question our standard of living, to criticize our friends for being prejudiced, to prefer playing with his poor cousin over attending social clubs." "And you consider that negative?" "I consider it inappropriate for a child of his social standing." "Dr. Michael, what do you have to say about these allegations?" "Your Honor, I believe my son is learning fundamental human values: compassion, humility, solidarity. If that makes him less elitist, I am proud. And is there a way to prove the benefits of this relationship?" "I have school reports about the improvement in Ryan's behavior. I can present witnesses." "Excellent. I will hear the minor in chambers and then I will give my decision." Ryan entered the judge's chambers accompanied only by the court clerk. The magistrate, a woman of about 50, had experience listening to children in delicate situations. "Ryan, do you know why you are here?" "I do. My parents are getting divorced and I need to choose who I want to live with." "And have you decided already?" "Yes. Who do you want to live with?" "With my father. But I want to keep seeing my mother too." "Why did you choose your father?" "Because he lets me be myself." "How so?" "My mother wants me to be a person I'm not. She wants me to think I'm better than others just because we have money." "And your father?" "My father teaches me that what matters is a person's character, not the money they have." "Ryan, tell me about your cousin Jacob." "Jacob is my best friend. He's smart, brave, cool. He taught me many important things." "What kind of things?" "He taught me that humiliating someone weaker is cowardly. He taught me that being grateful for what I have is more important than always wanting more. He taught me that true friendship doesn't care about money." "And your mother? How does she feel about this friendship?" "She doesn't like it. She says Jacob isn't on our level." "And you, what do you think about that?" "I think she's wrong. Jacob may not have money, but he has character. And that's more important." "Ryan, if you live with your father, your mother will be sad. Does that worry you?" "It does. But she would be happy if I turned into a bad person, just because I'd be a rich and bad person. I'd rather she be sad with who I am than happy with who I'm not." The answer surprised the judge with its maturity. "One last question, Ryan. If you had to choose between your cousin Jacob and your mother, who would you choose?" "I would choose my mother, because she is my mother, and I love her. But that doesn't mean I agree with her." "I understand. Thank you, Ryan." "Thank you." When they returned to the courtroom, the judge had already made her decision. "After hearing the parties and the minor, I decide on shared custody. Ryan will stay with the father during the week and with the mother on alternating weekends. However, I see no impediment to the minor maintaining a relationship with the extended paternal family, as long as it does not interfere with the periods of visitation with the mother." Catherine was visibly upset, but she could not appeal the decision. Michael felt relieved, although he would have preferred Ryan to stay with him more. After the hearing, in the courthouse parking lot, Catherine approached Michael. "Michael, this isn't over yet." "Catherine," the judge decided, "let's respect the decision. I will prove that this relationship is harmful to Ryan." "How?" "I will document all the negative influences your poor nephew has on our son." "Catherine, you are wasting time and energy on pointless hatred." "It's not hatred, it's protection." "Protection from what? From love, from family, from human values?" "Protection from mediocrity." "The only mediocrity here is your prejudice." "Michael, you will regret choosing them over me." "I didn't choose them over you. I chose love over prejudice." "It's the same thing." "For you, maybe. For me, it makes all the difference." In the following months, the new routine was established. Ryan spent the week with Michael, Lucy, and Jacob, creating a warm and harmonious family dynamic. On alternate weekends with Catherine, he would always return a bit tense, but he gradually learned to deal with the differences between the two homes. "Dad," he said one Monday after spending the weekend with his mother, "she hired a psychologist to talk to me." "A psychologist? Why?" "She said it's to evaluate the negative influences I'm receiving here." "And what did you think?" "The psychologist is nice, but she asks strange questions." "What kind of questions?" "If I feel sad about not being able to buy expensive things for Jacob, if I feel diminished for having a poor cousin, if I think I should study at a better school than his." "And what do you answer?" "The truth, that I don't feel sad or diminished or think I should study at a better school." "And how does she react?" "She keeps writing things down in her little notebook." Michael was worried. It was obvious that Catherine was trying to build a case to revise the custody agreement. 2 weeks later, Michael received a court summons. Catherine had requested a new psychological evaluation, alleging that Ryan was showing symptoms of social conformity inappropriate for his class. "Doctor," Michael said to his lawyer, "this is ridiculous." "I agree. But we have to take it seriously. If the psychologist hired by your ex-wife produces an unfavorable report, it could complicate our situation." And what do? We request a court-ordered evaluation, an impartial psychologist appointed by the judge. And what if that psychologist also thinks that the relationship with Jacob is harmful? Then we'll have problems, but I doubt that will happen. Ryan is visibly a happy and well-adjusted child. The psychological evaluation was scheduled for December. The appointed expert was Dr. Robert Smith, a child psychologist with 20 years of experience in custody cases. "Ryan," said Dr. Robert during the first session, "your mother is worried about some changes in your behavior. Can you tell me about that?" "What kind of changes?" "She says you are losing ambition, settling for inferior situations." "Doctor, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "What is ambition to you?" "Well, ambition is the desire to improve your life, to achieve bigger things." "And what if I'm already satisfied with what I have? Is that a lack of ambition?" "It depends. Why are you satisfied?" "Because I have a family that loves me. True friends, health, education. What more could I want? And money. Don't you want to have more money when you grow up?" "I want to have enough money to live well and help those in need. But I don't want to have money to feel superior to others." "And your cousin Jacob? How do you feel about having a poor cousin?" "Doctor, Jacob isn't a poor cousin. Jacob is my cousin, period." "But doesn't the social difference between you bother you?" "It bothers me that social differences exist in the world, but it doesn't bother me that my cousin is poor." "Why?" "Because being poor isn't a flaw, it's a circumstance." "And what if your rich friends from school don't like him? Then they aren't my real friends." "Ryan, your mother is worried because you are defending social positions that she considers inappropriate for your class." "Doctor, can I say something that might be hard to understand?" "Of course. I don't want to belong to a class that humiliates other classes. I'd rather be a good person who belongs to any class than a bad person who belongs to an upper class." Dr. Robert was impressed with the maturity of Ryan's answers. In the following sessions, he also evaluated Jacob, Lucy, and even Mary. "Jacob," he asked the boy, "how do you feel about being cousins with a rich family?" "Normal. They treat me like family, not like a poor person being helped." "You don't feel inferior?" "Sometimes I feel different, but never inferior." "What's the difference?" "Different is when you have different things but remain equal as a person. Inferior is when you believe you are worth less as a person." "And Ryan, how does he treat you?" "Like a cousin, like a friend, like a younger brother sometimes." "Do you think wealth changed Ryan?" "It did change him." "How?" "He was arrogant and now he's humble. He was cruel and now he's kind. He was selfish and now he's generous." "And do you think that's good or bad?" "Doctor, do you really think being humble, kind and generous is a bad thing?" "No, of course not." "Then why are you asking?" With Lucy, the psychologist investigated the family dynamics. "Mrs. Lucy, how would you assess the relationship between the boys?" "They love each other like brothers. Ryan protects Jacob. Jacob admires Ryan. They both learn from each other." "What does Ryan learn from Jacob?" "Humility, gratitude, perseverance. Jacob has had to fight for everything in life. Ryan is learning to appreciate what he has." "And what does Jacob learn from Ryan?" "Confidence, self-esteem, perspective. Ryan shows Jacob that he can dream big, that he can achieve anything. Don't you think there's an imbalance in the relationship? After all, one has much more resources than the other." "Doctor, in any real relationship, each person contributes what they have. Ryan contributes with material resources. Jacob contributes with emotional wisdom." "And does that work?" "It works perfectly. My son is happier than ever. And Ryan is too." "What would you say to those who think Jacob might be taking advantage of the situation?" "I'd say those people don't know my son. Jacob is so proud that sometimes I have to insist for him to accept gifts from his aunt and uncle." After 2 weeks of evaluations, Dr. Roberts submitted his report. The document was lengthy, but the conclusion was clear. The family living situation was not only beneficial, but essential for Ryan's healthy emotional development. The minor Ryan demonstrates excellent emotional balance. developed empathy for his age, and solid human values. Coexistence with the extended paternal family contributes positively to his development, providing lessons on social diversity, tolerance, and solidarity. No signs of pathological conformity or loss of healthy ambition were identified. On the contrary, Ryan demonstrates ambitions compatible with humanitarian values, which indicates emotional maturity above average for his age group. When she received the report, Catherine was furious. "That psychologist was bought off," she told her lawyer. "Mrs. Catherine, Dr. Robert is a respected professional appointed by the judge himself. Then the whole system is against me. Ma'am, perhaps it's time to accept that your concern may be unfounded." Unfounded. My son is becoming a socialist. Your son is becoming an empathetic person. It's the same thing. No, ma'am, it's not. With the favorable psychological report, Michael felt more at ease regarding the custody matter. But Catherine didn't give up. She began obsessively documenting any behavior from Ryan that she considered inappropriate. "Michael," she called on a Friday night, "Ryan refused to go to the club with me today. He said he preferred to stay home reading with his cousin. And what's the problem? The problem is that he's losing interest in social activities appropriate for our class." "Catherine, Ryan is reading. How can that be a problem? He's reading books that his cousin lent him, books about social injustice." "So what?" "What do you mean, so what? He's 12 years old." "Exactly. He's at the age to develop a critical consciousness. He's at the age to have fun, not to worry about social problems." "Catherine, Ryan is becoming a conscious and responsible person. That should make you proud." "It worries me." "Why?" "Because very conscious people are unhappy people. Very conscious people are complete people." Catherine's obsession began to affect her own weekends with Ryan. The boy felt constantly watched and judged. "Dad," he said on a Monday, "I don't want to go to Mom's house anymore." "Why?" "Because she spends all her time trying to convince me that you all are bad for me." "What does she say exactly?" "That you are manipulating me. That Aunt Lucy wants money. That Jacob will harm me in the future." "And how do you feel when she says that?" "Anger, a lot of anger, because she's speaking badly about people I love." "Ryan, your mother loves you. She's just confused." "Dad, if she loved me, she wouldn't speak badly about my family. She doesn't consider them your family, but they are. And if she can't understand that, then she doesn't really know me." Michael was worried about his son's suffering. He decided to talk to Catherine personally. "Catherine, we need to talk about Ryan. Finally, you admit there are problems? The problems are caused by you. By me. Ryan is suffering because you keep criticizing our family during his weekends with you. I'm trying to open his eyes. You're causing him pain. Necessary pain. Catherine, listen carefully to what I'm about to say. If you continue to pressure Ryan this way, he will choose not to spend time with you anymore." "He can't do that." "Yes, he can. At 12 years old, he already has the right to express his preferences. And you would support that? If it were to protect him from psychological pressure, yes." "Michael, you're using our son against me." "I'm protecting our son from you." "What do you mean?" "Catherine, when you force Ryan to choose between you and the people he loves, you are being cruel to him. I'm being realistic. You're being selfish. I'm his mother. Then act like a mother. Want his happiness above your own prejudices." The conversation ended without a resolution, but it planted a seed of reflection in Catherine. For the first time, she began to consider that perhaps she was harming her son in the name of protecting him. This reflection deepened when she witnessed a conversation between Ryan and a schoolmate. "Ryan," said the classmate, "I heard you have a poor cousin. Is that true?" "Yes, I do. Why?" "Wow, that's embarrassing. What do your parents say about it?" "My dad is proud. My mom is ashamed." "And you?" "I'm proud too. Proud of having a poor cousin. Proud of having a cousin who is brave, intelligent, and has character. The fact that he's poor just shows he achieved everything on his own." "But he must want to take advantage of you, right? John, do you know Jacob?" "No. Then how can you speak badly of him? Because all poor people want to take advantage of rich people. That's the biggest nonsense I've ever heard. People who take advantage of others are people with bad character, regardless of whether they're rich or poor. Ryan, you're defending your cousin because he's family. I'm defending him because it's right. And you know what else? What? Jacob has more character than half the rich people I know. How so? He's never asked me for anything, never suggested I buy things for him, never took advantage of our friendship for personal gain. He's my friend for who I am, not for what I have. And you're sure of that? Absolutely. Because when we met, he didn't even know I was rich. And even when he found out, it didn't change the way he treated me at all. Catherine was watching the conversation from a distance and was impressed by the maturity of her son's answers. For the first time, she began to wonder if she really knew Jacob or if she was judging him just out of prejudice. That night, she had a conversation with her own mother. Mom, do you think I'm wrong about Ryan's situation? Daughter, how long has it been since I've seen you truly happy? What does that have to do with it? It has everything to do with it. You're so obsessed with proving you're right that you've forgotten to ask if you're happy. I'm defending my son's future. You're destroying his present. What do you mean? Catherine, Ryan used to arrive here radiant on the weekends. Now he arrives tense and worried, because he's being negatively influenced, or because he's being pressured by you. Mom, are you against me too? I'm in favor of your happiness and Ryan's happiness. And how does that help? Daughter, when was the last time you saw Ryan truly happy? Catherine thought for a moment. I don't remember. I remember. It was before this whole war against Michael's family. Michael's family is us. Michael's family includes you, but it's bigger than you. And that's problematic. Why would having more family be problematic? Because they are inadequate people. Inadequate how? Poor. Catherine, being poor is not being inadequate. For our social position it is. For what social position, daughter? For our class. What class? A class of prejudiced people? Mother. Catherine, you come from a humble family. Your grandfather was a bricklayer. Your grandmother was a washerwoman. But that was a long time ago. It was yesterday. And they were dignified, hard-working, honest people. But they weren't from our current social class. And did that make them less valuable? It's not that. That's exactly it. You're judging people by their bank account, not their character. Mother, it's not that simple. It's simpler than you want to admit. Catherine, you are losing your son because of pride. I'm protecting my son. You're pushing your son away. How so? Ryan is growing up. In a few years, he'll make his own choices. And if you keep forcing him to choose between you and the people he loves, you might lose. He wouldn't do that to me. Daughter, anyone, including a child, pulls away from someone who forces them to reject the people they love. The conversation with her mother left Catherine unsettled. For the first time in months, she began to question her own positions. The following weekend, when Ryan came to visit her, she decided to try a different approach. Ryan, are you happy? What do you mean, Mom? In life, are you happy with the life you have? I am. Why? I just wanted to know. Mom, can I ask you something? Of course. Why don't you like Jacob? The direct question surprised Catherine. It's not that I dislike him personally. Then what is it? It's that you're from different worlds. What worlds? You have very different social conditions. And that prevents friendship? It can complicate things. How? Ryan, imagine if you have a birthday party. You invite your friends from school and Jacob. The other boys arrive by car with a driver. Jacob comes by bus. Wouldn't that be awkward? For whom? For him. Mum, what if it's awkward for the other boys? What if they feel bad about having a driver when Jacob doesn't? Why would they feel bad? Because good people feel uncomfortable with unfair inequalities. And you think the inequalities are unfair? Not all of them, but some, yes. Which ones? A child not having food because they were born into a poor family, that's unfair. And what does that have to do with you? It has everything to do with it. If I can help reduce the injustice, why wouldn't I help? Ryan, you can't save the world. I don't want to save the world, I want to save my cousin. Save him from what? From the idea that he's worth less than I am just because he has less money. And how do you do that? By treating him as an equal, as family. Even though you're different. Mom, we are alike in the important things. What things? We like to read, to learn, to talk about serious things. We have the same values about friendship, honesty, loyalty. And the differences? He's braver than I am. I have more opportunities than he does. And that doesn't bother you? It only bothers me that he has fewer opportunities. That's why I want to share mine. What do you mean, share? Take him to places he can't go alone. Introduce him to people who can help him. Study together with him so he has the same chances as I do. And does he accept this help? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. He's very proud. Proud how? I once offered to buy him new sneakers because his had holes in them. He didn't accept. He said he would buy them with his own money when he had it. And you thought that was bad? I thought it was cool. It shows he has dignity. Ryan, can I ask you a difficult question? Go ahead. If you had to choose between having a rich cousin or Jacob, who would you choose? Jacob. Why? Because you don't choose a cousin for their money. You choose them for the affection. And if one day you two fight? If the friendship ends? Mom, every family fights sometimes, but a real family always makes up. And if he takes advantage of you, then I'll be disappointed. But so far, in over a year of friendship, he has never taken advantage of anything. Ryan, do you really believe this friendship is good for you? I do. Jacob makes me a better person. How? More humble, more grateful, more aware. Before I met him, I thought I deserved everything I had just because I was born into it. Now I know I'm lucky and that I should use that luck for good. And you don't feel like you've lost something? I have. What? I lost the arrogance, the prejudice, the cruelty, and I'm glad I lost them. For the first time in months, Catherine began to see Ryan and Jacob in a different light. Perhaps what she considered a negative influence was, in fact, personal growth. A few weeks later, something unexpected happened. Ryan got sick with pneumonia and had to be hospitalized. Michael immediately called Catherine, who rushed to the hospital. "How is he?" she asked, visibly worried. "Stable. The doctors say he'll be fine, but he needs a few days in the hospital. Can I see him?" Of course. When they entered the room, they found Jacob sitting by the bed, holding Ryan's hand and reading to him. And then the knight realized that the true wealth wasn't in the treasure, but in the friendship he had gained during the journey. Jacob read softly. "Hi, Mum." Ryan smiled weakly when he saw Catherine. "Hi, my love. How are you feeling?" "Better. Jacob is keeping me company." Catherine looked at Jacob, who stood up respectfully. "Good afternoon, Aunt Catherine." "Good afternoon, Jacob. I'll let you talk," and the boy said, heading for the door. "Jacob," Ryan called out to him, "you can stay. My mum doesn't mind." "No need, cousin. I'll come back later." "Please, stay." I was enjoying the story. Jacob looked at Catherine, who nodded hesitantly. "You can stay," she said softly. For the next hour, Catherine watched the interaction between the two boys. Jacob showed genuine care for Ryan, adjusting his pillow, offering him water, telling stories to distract him. There was nothing calculated or self-serving in his actions. "Jacob," said Catherine when Ryan fell asleep, "how long have you two been friends?" "Over a year, Aunt." "And how do you feel about being Ryan's cousin?" "Happy, very happy." "Even with the differences between you?" "What differences?" "Well, social ones." "Oh, Ryan is rich and I'm poor." "Doesn't that bother you?" "Sometimes, but not because I'm jealous of him." "Why then?" "Because I wish I could repay him for everything he does for me." "What kind of repayment? Giving him gifts, taking him to cool places, helping him when he needs it?" And you can't do that? Not in the way he deserves. What do you mean? Ryan gave me books, took me to the movies, taught me how to swim. I can't do the same for him. And that makes you sad? It does. But Ryan always says I repay him in other ways. What ways? By being a true friend, listening to him, making him laugh, teaching him things I learned in school. And you believe that? Ryan has never lied to me, so I believe him. Jacob, can I ask you a personal question? Go ahead. What do you expect from this friendship in the future? What do you mean? When you grow up, you'll probably have very different lives. Ryan will go to an expensive college, will work at his father's company. How do you imagine you'll stay friends? Aunt Catherine, true friendship doesn't depend on people having the same life. What do you mean? I'm going to study too, I'm going to work too. Maybe not under the same conditions as Ryan, but I'll do my part. And if you grow apart anyway? Then it's because we weren't true friends, but I believe we are. Why? Because in the last few months we've been through a lot of difficult situations together, and we always stuck together. What situations? When the boys at school picked on us, when my grandmother got sick, when Ryan argued with his mother because of me, he argued with me because of you. He argued because of the whole family. He said he wouldn't give up any of us. And how did you feel knowing he was arguing with his own mother? Bad, very bad. I even thought about distancing myself so I wouldn't cause problems. Why didn't you? Because Uncle Michael explained to me that true family doesn't abandon true family. And do you consider yourself true family? I do. And you, ma'am? The question caught Catherine off guard. I'm still learning. Learning what? Learning that maybe I was wrong about you. What did you think about us? I thought you wanted to take advantage of our family. And now? Now I see that maybe you just wanted to be part of our family. That's right, Aunt Catherine. We just want to be family. Jacob, I'm sorry for being cold to you. You don't need to apologize. You were protecting your family. It's natural. But I was protecting it against you, who are also family. You didn't know that at the time. Jacob, can you forgive me? I have nothing to forgive, Aunt. You've always been polite to me. But I wasn't affectionate. Affection is earned with time. Politeness is a good start. The simplicity and maturity of Jacob's answer touched Catherine deeply. For the first time, she looked beyond her prejudices and recognized the special boy Ryan had tried to show her. When Ryan woke up, he found his mother and cousin talking naturally. "Are you two getting along?" he asked, surprised. "We're getting to know each other better," replied Catherine. "Really?" Ryan smiled. "That's great." "Ryan," said Catherine, "can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Are you still mad at me because of the family situation?" "I was never mad, Mom. I was sad." "Sad why?" "Because you couldn't see what I saw in our family." "And what did you see?" "Love, care, unity, good people helping each other." "And what did you think I saw? A threat, a problem, people wanting to take advantage." "And if I said I'm starting to see with your eyes, I would be very happy." "Really? Even after everything that happened?" "Mom, you're my mother. I love you no matter what. And if I wanted to try to start over, try to accept your father's family, you'd really accept them? Or would you just do it to please me?" "I'm not sure, but I want to try." "Then I would support you completely. Ryan, would you help me in this process?" "Of course. Jacob will too." "How so?" "Jacob is very patient and understanding. If anyone can help you understand our family, it's him. And do you think he would agree to help me?" "Jacob," Ryan addressed his cousin, "would you help my mother understand our family better?" "Of course, cousin. It would be an honor." "Even after how I treated you?" asked Catherine. "Aunt Catherine, family helps family. Always." When Ryan was discharged from the hospital 3 days later, something had fundamentally changed in the family dynamic. Catherine hadn't suddenly become receptive, but she showed a genuine willingness to try to understand. "Michael," she sought out her ex-husband, "can we talk?" "Of course." "I want to apologize." Why? For being prejudiced against your family. Our family. What changed? I saw Jacob taking care of Ryan at the hospital. I saw the genuine love that exists between them. And I realized I was judging without knowing. Catherine, that's a big step. Michael, would you accept me trying to be part of the family again? What do you mean? Not the marriage, that's over, but the extended family. I want to try to be a decent aunt for Jacob and an acceptable sister-in-law for Lucy. Are you sure? No, but I want to try. And if you discover you really can't, then at least I'll know I tried, and Ryan will know I tried. Catherine, that would be very important for Ryan and for the whole family. Michael? Yes? Thank you for not giving up on your family because of me. Thank you for being willing to try to understand. Catherine's first attempt at integration happened on a Sunday in December, during a family gathering at Michael's house. Lucy was visibly nervous, Jacob was politely cautious, and Ryan was anxious for everything to work out. Lucy, Catherine approached her sister-in-law, can we talk? Of course. I want to apologize for being hostile towards you. Catherine, I understand your position. It wasn't easy for you to accept such big changes. It wasn't, but that doesn't justify my behavior. It's justified you were protecting your family. I was protecting it against you, who are also family. Now we are, but before we were strangers. Lucy, can I ask you something? Of course. What do you expect from our relationship? Harmony, for the children's sake. Just that. It would be very good if we could be friends too. But if we can only be cordial, that would be enough. And if I want more than cordiality? What do you mean? And if I want to try to be a real sister-in-law to you? Catherine, that would require time and patience from both of us. I have time and I'm learning patience. Then we can try. Even after everything that happened? Especially because of everything that happened. Catherine, family is this: imperfect people trying to love each other despite their differences. With Jacob, the approach was even more delicate. Jacob, can I ask you for something? Of course, Aunt Catherine. Will you help me be a better aunt? How? Teach me to see you as Ryan sees you. How does Ryan see me? As a cousin, as a friend, as family. Aunt, there's not much of a secret. Just treat me like a normal kid. Normal how? Ask me how my day was, if I need anything, if I'm happy. And are you happy? Very. Especially now. Why especially now? Because the family is coming together instead of splitting apart. And is that important to you? It's what I want most in the world, a united family. Jacob, can you forgive me for taking so long to accept you? Aunt, there's nothing to forgive. You were being a mother. Now you're being an aunt. It's all family. Gradually, Catherine began to participate in family activities. First, just observing, then contributing timidly, finally getting genuinely involved. The definitive turning point happened during the January school holidays. The family had planned a trip to the Hamptons, and Catherine was invited to join. I don't know if it's a good idea, she hesitated. Why not? Asked Ryan. What if I ruin your harmony? Mom, you can only ruin it if you want to ruin it. What if I unconsciously do something inappropriate? Then we talk and work it out. Ryan, are you sure you want me there? Absolutely, right, Jacob? Of course, cousin. Family travels together. During the trip, Catherine observed up close the family dynamic that had bothered her so much. She saw Michael teaching Jacob how to drive a jet ski. She saw Lucy combing Ryan's hair after his swim in the ocean. You saw the two boys sharing everything naturally, from sunscreen to snacks. But the most revealing moment was when Jacob defended Catherine from an inappropriate comment by another tourist. That woman is trying to buy a family, whispered a lady on the beach observing the group's interaction. Are you talking about my aunt? Jacob approached politely. I'm observing that she seems out of place in the group. My aunt is not out of place. She's learning to be part of our family. And you think that's natural? I do. A real family accepts whoever wants to be part of it. even when there are interests involved. Ma'am, my aunt has no interest in us beyond family love. She is rich, successful, and independent. Then why the initial resistance? Because she was protecting her son. Now she sees she doesn't need to protect against us, but can protect with us. How so? A united family protects all its members. A divided family protects no one. Catherine had overheard the conversation from a distance and was moved to see Jacob defending her publicly. "Jacob," she approached, "thank you for defending me." "You're welcome, Aunt. Family defends family. Even when the family didn't deserve that defense. Especially when it didn't. That's how we show we're a real family." "Jacob, how did you learn to be so wise? From Grandma, from Uncle Michael, from Mum, from Ryan, and now from you too." "From me? How?" "You taught me that people can change when they want to. That prejudice can be overcome by love. Do you really believe I've changed?" "I do, and more importantly, you believe it too." That night, on the inn's porch, the reunited family talked about future plans. "Ryan will take his college entrance exams in a few years," said Michael. "Jacob, too. Have you thought about what you want to study?" asked Lucy. "I want to study business administration," said Ryan, "to help Dad with the company." "And you, Jacob?" asked Catherine. "Law. I want to be a public defender." "Why?" "To help poor people who can't afford a lawyer." "That's very noble," commented Catherine genuinely. "It's very Ryan," smiled Jacob. "He inspired me to want to help others." "How so?" "Ryan showed me that those who have more should help those who have less, not out of obligation, but out of solidarity." "And do you agree with that?" Catherine asked Ryan. "Completely. I was lucky to be born into a wealthy family. I can't pretend that luck doesn't exist, or that I owe nothing to anyone. Even if that means giving up some of your privileges." "Mum, a privilege that can't be shared isn't a privilege, it's selfishness. And what if that causes you social problems? If your wealthy friends don't accept your positions, then they aren't my real friends. Ryan, you've changed a lot this past year. For better or for worse. For much better. You've become a person I admire." "Really?" "Very much so. You are courageous, generous, loyal, everything a mother dreams her son would be." "Thank you, Mum." "Jacob," Catherine turned to the boy, "you too. You've become someone I admire." "Me, Aunt?" "Yes. Your dignity, your maturity, your ability to forgive. You are an example to all of us." "Thank you, Aunt Catherine." "Lucy," Catherine looked at her sister-in-law, "thank you for raising such a special son and for coming back to complete our family. Thank you for accepting me." "Michael," she finally addressed her ex-husband, "thank you for fighting for our family, even when I was fighting against it. Thank you for having the courage to change." "You know what impresses me the most?" said Mary, who had joined the group. "What, Grandma?" asked Jacob. "How you all proved that family isn't just who you're born with, it's who chooses to stay together." "And we chose to stay together?" asked Ryan. "All of us," replied Michael, "despite the difficulties, the differences, the initial prejudices." "And do you know why it worked?" asked Lucy. "Why?" everyone asked almost in unison. "Because in the end, love was stronger than fear." 6 months later, the family was celebrating Jacob's graduation from middle school. The boy had been chosen as the class speaker, an honor reserved for the best student. "Jacob Miller," announced the principal, "our speaker for this evening." Jacob walked up to the stage with elegance, wearing the suit that Michael had insisted on buying for him. In the audience, his gathered family applauded him proudly. "Dear classmates, teachers, family and friends," Jacob began, "today we are not just celebrating the end of a school chapter. We are celebrating the power of education to transform lives. When I started studying at this school, I believed education was just about learning subjects. Today, I know that true education is about learning to be human. It's about learning that our differences don't separate us, but complete us. I learned that a rich family can welcome a poor cousin without losing anything. I learned that a poor boy can teach humility to a rich cousin without feeling inferior. I learned that prejudices can be overcome when faced with love. But most of all, I learned that true wealth is not in what we possess, but in what we share. It's not in what we accumulate, but in what we give away. It's not in what we keep for ourselves, but in what we build together. I want to especially thank Ms. Wilson, who never gave up on any of us, who taught us that education is about shaping better people, not just smarter students. I want to thank my family, and here Jacob looked directly at the audience where Mary, Lucy, Michael, Catherine, and Ryan were sitting, who taught me that family isn't about who you're born with, but who you choose to grow with. And I want to leave a message for all my classmates. It doesn't matter where you come from. It matters where you're going. It doesn't matter what you have. It matters what you do with what you have. It doesn't matter who you were. It matters who you choose to be. Thank you. Jacob's speech moved the entire audience. In the front row, Catherine cried without embarrassment, finally fully understanding the human treasure she had almost rejected. After the ceremony, the family gathered for a celebration dinner. "Jacob," said Michael, raising a toast, "we are very proud of you." "Of all of us," corrected Catherine, "proud of the family we have become." "A family that overcame prejudices," added Lucy. "A family that grew in love," completed Mary. "A family that proved that unity is stronger than differences," finalized Ryan. "And do you know what the future holds for us?" asked Jacob. "What?" everyone asked. "More challenges for us to overcome together, more opportunities for us to grow united, more love for us to share." "And are you ready for that?" asked Michael. "We are ready," replied Jacob, "because a true family faces everything together." 5 years later, Ryan was graduating with a degree in business administration, and Jacob had earned a full scholarship to study law at the best university in New York City. Michael's company had created a social responsibility program that had already benefited hundreds of underprivileged families. Catherine had completely reconciled with her past choices and become an active advocate for social causes. Lucy had taken over the coordination of the company's social program. Mary, now over 70 years old, was the respected and beloved matriarch of a family that had grown in number and in love. "You know what I discovered?" said Jacob during the dinner celebrating his scholarship achievement. "What?" everyone asked. "That Ms. Wilson was right from the very first day." "Right about what?" asked Ryan. "About education being able to transform not just one life, but an entire family." "How so?" asked Catherine. "It all started when she called Uncle Michael demanding that he come to the school. If she hadn't had the courage to face the bullying problem, none of this would have happened." "That's true," agreed Michael. "One phone call from the school changed our lives forever." "It changed because you allowed it to," said Mary. "Change only happens when people are willing to change." "And were we willing?" asked Ryan. "Some more than others," smiled Lucy, looking affectionately at Catherine. "But everyone got there," defended Jacob. "And that's what matters." "Jacob," said Catherine, "thank you for teaching me that it's never too late to correct our mistakes. Thank you, Aunt Catherine, for proving that people can change when they choose love instead of fear." "And now?" asked Ryan. "What comes next?" "Now," answered Michael, "we continue being a family. We continue growing together. We continue proving that love conquers any obstacle." "Forever?" asked Jacob. "Forever," everyone answered in unison. That night, when everyone had already gone to sleep, Michael stayed alone on the porch of his house, reflecting on the journey they had taken. 2 years before, he was a successful businessman, but emotionally distant. He had a nuclear family that lived for appearances, an arrogant son, and a prejudiced wife. Today, he had an extended family united by true love, a son who had become an empathetic and generous young man, an ex-wife who had learned to love without prejudice, a sister who had returned to complete the family circle, a nephew who had become like a second son, an adoptive mother-in-law who had brought wisdom and affection to everyone. The phone rang, interrupting his thoughts. "Mr. Anderson, this is Ms. Wilson." "Ms. Wilson, how are you?" "What a surprise." "I'm well. I called because I wanted to congratulate you on Jacob's achievement. I heard he won a full scholarship." "Yes. We are very proud of him. And of Ryan, too. I heard he's going to work in the family business, but with a focus on social responsibility. That's true. He wants to use the company's resources to help other families like Jacob's. Mr. Anderson, can I say something? Of course. That day when I called for you to come to the school, I was prepared for a difficult argument, and it certainly was a difficult argument. But you did something that few parents do. What was that? You chose to listen instead of defend. You chose to learn instead of attack. Miss Wilson, it was the best choice I ever made in my life. And do you know why it worked? Why? Because in the end, all of you chose love. And love always wins. Ms. Wilson, thank you for not giving up on the boys, for insisting that they could be better. Mr. Anderson, it was a privilege to witness this transformation. You proved that family isn't destiny, it's a choice. When he hung up the phone, Michael smiled. Ms. Wilson was right. They had chosen to be a family, and that choice had transformed them all. End of story. Now tell us, what did you think of this story of family overcoming? Do you know families that have gone through similar transformations? Leave your comment, sharing your experiences and reflections. And if this story touched your heart, don't forget to leave your like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other emotional narratives like this one.